Hey everybody, Kuroda here,
Hey,
along with my good friend Matthew again. Thanks for doing this
uh,
again, Matt.
yeah, no, of course. I was really looking forward to this. This will be a good time.
Yeah, I think this is, if you're willing to do this, we sort of touched on it when we did this last time, but I'm willing to make this an annual thing if you want, where we just review all the shitload of books that we read every year, which is the topic of this video, of course, for those of you just
Yeah,
tuning in. Um, but yeah, so like as I was just saying, last year we did a sort of roundup video, which was a top 10 books. We did honorable mentions. We talked about how many books we read. We talked about like all kinds of stuff, and we're gonna do it again because that's what you lovely people subscribed for, all the book content.
yeah, exactly.
And I'm wearing the same sweater as last year, so if we do this again next year, I'll be wearing the sweater as well. And you're sporting an
He
awesome
hasn't
actual
changed at
book-related
all.
ugly Christmas sweater, which is cool.
Yeah, or he just never changed clothes since last year.
Yeah, well, that too.
Yeah. Whatever your headcanon is, audience, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Do you want to explain to people what your for those who don't know what your sweater is?
Oh yeah, this is Doomslug from Brandon Sanderson's Skyward series.
A series
Young
which I
adult.
have. You guys are gonna hear a lot about Brandon Sanderson. Which if you've never read him, you should because he's awesome. Probably the most prolific fantasy writer right now. But I haven't even read. I've read most of his stuff. I haven't read the Skyward series, which we got to talk about that at some point. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of Defiant, which is like the fourth and final book of like the first series, and it's pretty good so far.
Yeah. Two little warnings. One, possibly my camera might go out, but if it does, and like you're in the middle of talking or whatever, just keep going. I'll turn my other camera on. And number two, we're having some like crazy apocalyptic weather outside. It's literally snowing huge chunks while thunder and lightning out. So
I
if
wonder if that's part of what I'm hearing too. Then it could
maybe,
be. I don't
yeah,
know.
could be, but yeah. So if the power goes out, that'd be interesting. Anyway, so this video's a train wreck already. We're like 2 minutes in, so let's get. I say we just get straight to it, man.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about. So the first part of this video is basically gonna be a reflection on all the books we've read in 2023, which for both of us is a lot. We could talk about. Well, actually, let's just. What am I rambling on? You guys don't need to know the structure. So the first part of this will be that, and then we'll do our honorable mentions, top 10, and then we're gonna talk about what's ahead at the end of this probably massively long video. So we both have a bunch of stuff here. So I'll just start it out with. Okay, what's Matt the total number of books you read? And I don't know if you remember because I forgot to ask you this, but if you don't remember, I actually just watched our video from last year, so I could tell you how many books you read last year. But how many books did you read? And if you remember, like versus the previous year, like did you have a goal of the amount of books you wanted to read, and did you meet that? So.
I mean, I don't think I ever forced the envelope with that. Like,
Okay.
I read at my own pace whenever's comfortable. I feel like that would take some of the enjoyment out of it if I'm like, oh, I have to read this amount. And
Yeah.
if I don't, I'm a piece of crap. Or like I let myself down,
Yeah.
But I do think it's up from last year. I don't remember what the total was last year, but I can tell you right now it was like between 55 and 56 for this year.
Well, my friend, you read 36 books last year.
Wow, so it was up a lot.
You
I'm
blew it out
shocked.
blew it out of the water, yeah, which is crazy.
Some of these are short stories, though, I should preface, but, like, even omitting them, I think I still read, like, in the teens more.
Are you
thinking about it
counting
all.
short stories or short story collections?
Collections. Like,
Okay.
or wait, no, that... Maybe? Like, I think for different seasons by King, I might have listed them separately.
Okay,
But
I see.
But I do think I tallied it as just one, though. But, like, for instance, if I had, like, just, like, one little small novella, like this guy, he wasn't even 200 pages, I counted this as, like, a whole story.
Yeah, I would count. To me, if it's like over 100 pages, it's a book.
Yeah.
That would be my personal criteria. I don't know what everybody else's criteria is, but yeah, for me, if it's over 100 pages, it's a book. So that's cool, man. You really blew your old record out. So you read like what, almost? Did you say it was 56?
Yeah, between 55 to 56 last time I did the count. It probably hit
Yeah, so
56.
you literally read 20 more books than last year. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't do that well. Well, I did really well, but I didn't do as well as you did. But I read 10 more books than I did last year. I read 32 books last year. So, and I read 42 this year, which is I want to just point out I read 42 books this year, of which 5 of them were the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books. So, if you know the significance of 42 in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Oh my god, that's like perfect.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty pleased with it. My goal was 50 books. That was my goal last year too, which I didn't meet. I'm going for it this year though. Hopefully I'll hit 50 books. So
Godspeed with that. I do not know if I will, just based in change of life events for sure.
Well, yeah. Yes, for sure.
I'm impressed though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, audiobooks are really a big part of
True.
it. So, I mean, I probably wouldn't have read nearly, especially towards the end of the year. I really started stacking some up because I'm just flying through audiobooks at work. So yeah. I mean, some of you purists out there might not consider audiobooks. Maybe they don't count. They count to me. I mean, it's still reading you're not reading it, but you're still consuming a book. So,
like a good Vorin man.
Yep. Okay. Okay. So, was there a theme to your reading this year?
Let me just consult my notes. By the way, audience, I'm not being rude. I have all my notes for this on my phone. I swear.
If you want, we can go back and forth. Like I can answer this first.
Yes, if you don't mind, because I'm actually gonna flip through the whole list of books real quick.
Overall theme for me, I think. I mean, I read all kinds of different things, but I think I read a lot more short stories this year. And there were even a few books that I read which are like books but are technically short stories. Like it's like you sometimes like an author will do that, especially older authors. They'll like maybe weave several short stories into a narrative. So I read more short stories this year, and I read more horror as well. So I wanted to read more horror this year, and so I really did. And even like a lot of the sci-fi, or even a little of the fantasy, what little fantasy I read this year. Well, I did read a little more fantasy, but there was some horror elements as well in some of those stories. So, yeah, it was cool. It's kind of... I'm a spooky guy, I guess.
Spooky!
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's right. I forgot you were really into that. Yeah.
Yep.
Sure, yeah, because you've been reading a bunch of King. And,
yeah. Just finished the Stephen King book, actually. But, yeah, did you have a theme for yours, you think, or...
Yes, actually, now that I'm flipping through everything, I can confidently say that time is probably the most apt theme for sure. Because I sunk my teeth into the Shannara series, and like each set of books takes place like typically a few hundred years after the previous ones. I read a bunch of sci-fi novels that really dealt with the concept of like thousands of years of time, like, you know, that goes by in the course of the narrative too, like not even in like the past, like actually covered within the narrative. And yeah, like time, apocalypse probably is like another honestly like big theme this year based on like the list I'm looking at now. And probably magic, just from the sheer amount of Shannara books that I consumed versus everything else.
I think time would be a theme of my year too. Just think, like I was just after you said that, I was looking down at my notes. I'm like, oh my god, like most of these books do revolve around time. Like I've read some legitimate time travel stories, like quite a few of them this year too. So I didn't think of it that way. So it was a cool answer. And like I know you're especially into a lot of magic. Like you were even saying the other day, like Brandon Sanderson's magic systems, like specifically. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Okay, so did you reread any books, and what was your favorite? If you did, what was your favorite reread?
No, funny enough, like without even looking, I was pretty positive. I don't think I reread a single thing this year. It was all brand new.
Wow.
Yeah,
I
Now this year, that's going to be different. When we get when we get into that question, I've got quite a few things that I can bring up. But
okay,
yeah,
cool.
everything was pretty much new experiences.
I reread I reread a handful of books. I reread the first Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy because I wanted to read the whole lot, which I had not read anything but the original, so that was one I just did out of necessity. And then I will talk about another series pretty soon. And because I read that series, I read this, and this is obviously going to be my favorite. This is the placeholder, Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn. I picked this as the placeholder for this and Well of Ascension. I read the first Mistborn book a couple years ago, so it's still fresh. Mistborn, The Hero of Ages, and The Well of Ascension. I picked this one because this is probably my favorite Mistborn book. It's the third book in the trilogy. And then, I had read the first book a couple years ago, so it was still fresh. And I had read about half of the second book, Well of Ascension. So I wanted to just reread the second one and the third one because I hadn't read either of these in 10 years. Or at least not all of the second book. It's sounding convoluted here. This was just as great as I remember it being and is probably the best Mistborn book. So, yeah, this would have to be my favorite reread, I would say.
Yeah, I would say that that's probably still one of his best endings out of any single book that he's written.
Oh yeah, and everything
awesome.
the characters, just the everything that happens to it, the stakes are so high in it. It's a wonderful book, wonderfully. It's the first, I think, book that he wrote really, really well. I feel like that was a book where the writing is nearly flawless, and that was the first of his books. Because nothing against the first two Mistborn books or Elantris, but I really feel like for some reason he just brought it home really well with that one, and just his writing really shines.
Yeah, apparently he wrote all three of those books back to back of the original trilogy, so that's probably why it fits together so nice.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, the writing is just so tight and so well done. So yeah, for me, it's going to be definitely the second and third Mistborn books were my favorite rereads. What's your favorite series that you read this year? Book series?
Well, I feel like it's partially cheating, but I would probably have to say The Sword of Shannara just because I've read in the teens amount of books already. Because there's the first three, they feature three different generations, but then the next tetralogy is one contiguous story with 4 different descendants of the main characters from the first three books. Then there's a trilogy after that, and then another trilogy after that, and I've read all of those up to this point. So I would probably say that. I really like the idea of I was telling you personally today, the neat little hook with the Shannara series, and this isn't a big spoiler because they get into it quite soon in the very first book, but it's Earth. It's post-apocalyptic Earth, where thousands of years have passed. We're basically at medieval level tech. Science isn't really a thing anymore. There's magic, and the explanation was, I guess, even when we were in our prime, there was fairy creatures, but they were dwindling based on how we were destroying the natural environment, and then the elves came out of hiding during the apocalypse, and
it's cool.
Yeah, and all the different races dwarves, trolls, and gnomes, they were actually just normal humans exposed to various degrees of radiation.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it's neat. It doesn't get super into the specifics on that, but yeah. So the dwarves and trolls and gnomes, it's no, they're not fairy or magical in nature at all. They're literally just divergent, humanity evolving over the course of thousands or hundreds of years based on the environments that they were trying to survive in.
I love when fantasy is secretly science fiction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly.
It's cool.
Yeah. I'll get into my thoughts on the first book a little bit later, but there's a particular scene in the first book that goes hard in terms of sci-fi, and I'm this is so weird.
And
in a really good way. I'll go into depth with that later.
You should mention that you met Terry Brooks, right?
I did. I met him and his assistant Sean Speakman, who's also a author himself, at AwesomeCon in Washington D.C. this summer, and I got this signed by Terry. He personalized it for me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
all good,
man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, he was a really nice guy. I'm subscribed to his newsletter. He's turning 80 this year.
Wow. Been in the game a long time, I guess, huh?
Yeah, he finished the Shannara timeline, but he's going back and like writing something before like it ended. So it's like apparently it's a trilogy, and the first book of that is going to be out like sometime later this year. Like talk about like a guy who can write. Like
so that's kind of your big series you tackled this year, right? Because that's a huge series.
Yeah, I still have like almost 20 books to read.
Wow.
I counted the other day.
Dedication, honestly.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. That series does pique my interest, I will say. I think I'll eventually get. I'm full disclosure, Matt. I'm not probably gonna read the entire thing, but I might read like maybe a cluster of it or something if there's like a good.
Honestly, if you want my recommendations, I think you could read the first 7 and you'd honestly be good.
Yeah, see, I would do something like that. If it's more than like 10 at this point in my life, it's like. Maybe, but it's when you said you had 20 more, I was like, oh god.
Yeah, Terry has even said that like books 2, 3, and like the next tetralogy are some of his best work, and that's coming from him too.
Wow, okay.
I personally agree with that statement so far from what I've read, but like according to him, Elfstones of Shannara, Wish Song of Shannara, and then The Heritage of Shannara, which is the tetralogy. He said that's some of his favorite stuff that he's written. So.
It's interesting that he said that because there's a lot of any artists, like, but it definitely authors. It definitely applies to musicians. It's like if you ask them what their best book is or their best album, it's the one I just did. They always say that. So to hear a guy like that who's in his 80s saying like, oh no, some of the earlier books were some of my best work is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so for my favorite series, I don't think this is going to surprise you, Matt. It was actually, I will say it was quite close. But okay. I had to go with this one. I'll just grab it. Hold on, where did I do with it? Okay, this one book is the placeholder for the whole thing. It's obviously the Mistborn Era 2, the Wax and Wane.
Oh, cool.
Books, yeah. And I should also mention, by the way, I got it signed by Brandon Sanderson. Well, actually, I didn't get he sent, like, I ordered it from Dragonsteel, and it just came, this was like 2 years ago, something like that. It just came signed, which was awesome. And with all that merch that I gave you. Like all the...
Yes, thank you. He gave 2 maps.
Yeah, so I have this book. I actually have to go out and, I have this book... And I have Bands of Mourning and Shadows of Self. Funny enough, Bands of Mourning and this are signed, Shadows of Self is not. So Brandon, tour again so I can get my copy of Shadows of Self signed, and then I don't own the Lost Metal. I've actually got to physically pick up a copy of that, so I have the whole thing. But this was a series that I had been meaning to. I'm proud of myself because actually in our last book video, I said I really wanted to read this series. And I did get to it finally. This was a series I've been trying to get to for literally years because I think, Matt, you've mentioned it before. Like I discovered Mistborn, I think when Brandon was still doing, like right around when he did the first Wheel of Time book that he did, which was like, what, 2010, 2012, something like that. I've been a fan of...
Yeah, it would have been 2010, yeah.
I've been a fan of that trilogy for a long time, and it's like, this came out... a couple years later, something like that, and then the other books came out really quickly after that, and then Lost Metal just came out last year, so it sucks that I didn't pick this up sooner, but I will say I didn't have to wait that long for the Lost Metal. It worked out. I did it all in audiobook. I loved it. I thought the characters, the main core characters especially, were really great. I love all the... I'm trying to do this without spoilers, but for people who don't know Brandon Sanderson, he has a huge universe called the Cosmere, which most of his books fit under. You see a lot of crossover, especially in the latter part of this series, with some of those other worlds, some of those other characters. There's a ton of like lore and stuff from the original trilogy of books that you get. The characters, Wax and Wayne particularly, they're just a great duo. Wayne is like one of the best, like funniest characters he's ever written, I think.
Yeah.
It was just again really fun. I love how it's basically like, it's Mistborn in the Wild West, basically, which is such a cool blend. He kind of blended a fantasy with a heist novel for the original ones, and then he basically did fantasy and western for this one. And I'm a big fan of westerns, so I loved it. And there's so much I could say about this series that I really, really enjoyed. Do I still? It's almost not fair to compare them. Do I still like the original trilogy? Yeah, it's probably always gonna. That has a nostalgia factor to me that I like. Unfortunately, sometimes when some series like that has such nostalgia, it's gonna be hard to beat it. But so I still probably the original Mistborn trilogy will always have the number one top spot. But as a like sequel series, this was phenomenal. So glad I finally got to it. Some of Brandon's best writing is actually in some of these books, and just some really cool things happen in these books. I can't recommend them enough. And some of his best writing in terms of characters as well, for sure. I think he only tops. I only think only Stormlight tops what he does in the series. So.
Yeah, that's what I would say too, regardless of your thoughts of the first and second era. Like, I think his character writing by the time of era 2 is like leaps and bounds better than what it was for like Elantris through Warbreaker, for sure.
Yeah, and even the first Mistborn. I mean, aside from maybe like, I mean, you could tell he really came into his own as a writer by this time, and he was also doing Stormlight and had the Wheel of Time pretty much behind him as well. So this was when he was really hitting his stride, and I thought he did an excellent job. So, and you and I have even talked like the ending of book 2 and especially book 4 were like just gut wrenching. What happens to some of the characters, but it ends very poetically, I think, and I'm very excited to see what the next. It's going to be a trilogy. The next Mistborn.
Yes.
Okay.
And apparently he wants to write them all at once, like he did the original trilogy. And then once they're all finished, they're going to be coming out like, I think, every 6 months or something. So it's going to take a while, but when they're done, we're going to have like I think all 3 within a year and a half. I think.
Well,
he keeps that.
I'll really look forward to it. It'll be awesome. I expect a lot more Brandon Sanderson talk on this on this video for sure. And as a side note, I will say last year I read none of his books, and I wanted to get back into his books. So that happened in the latter part of the year with that, those novels, which was great. Okay, what else do we got before we can get into top 10s and everything? What was your favorite short story?
Okay.
And I'm talking like a single short story. Because like you could pick a collection, but I even had a little bit of trouble with that. But
yeah, because initially I had that little book that I had showed before, but I'm like, wait a minute now. I had to really think about it. It really is hard, but it's probably between 2 stories in Stephen King's Different Seasons collection. It's either Shawshank Redemption or Apt Pupil, for very 2 different reasons. Like, Shawshank Redemption is just like full of like hope, and like trying to make something out of like a life that you may have like messed up. Like, the main character is wrongfully in prison, so there's that angle too. Like, he's trying to escape like quote unquote justice that he doesn't even deserve. And then you have Apt Pupil, which is one of the most dark, messed up things I've read from Stephen King thus far. It's about like a kid who discovers he has a Nazi as a neighbor, like a guy who escaped and assumed a new alias. He's trying to better himself, and between the kid forcing him to like wear, like, the kid like finds like an SS costume and makes him wear it.
Oh Jesus!
Like, the book slowly devolves into them like influencing each other, where they're both like being driven insane, and like he basically like empowers the Nazi to go back to doing the stuff that he wanted to do. They start killing homeless people like throughout the novel. And literally, the novel ends with the kid becoming a mass shooter on like a highway and getting gunned down by the cops.
Oh,
That's
oh
how
my
it
god.
ends.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's like, holy. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to read that. I
like,
have your copy of it. I wish I'd known. I would have had it here. But
Still-
I'm gonna read that collection this year for sure.
Yeah.
So
And to plug this too, I saw Shawshank Redemption, the movie, as well for the first time.
great
as well as
movie.
reading-
Great movie.
Yeah, no, it's instantly into the top 10 films I've ever seen in my life. It was awesome.
Morgan Freeman, you know.
Yep.
More on
There is quite a few changes from the book though, but like they were all changes that made sense for the film. So
more on Stephen King. You know, forthcoming. For individual short stories, there were actually two I reread because I read two collections. I read a Harlan Ellison short story collection, which was really good. But I'll be honest with you, I read it earlier this year. I forgot a lot of the stories. Because with short stories, they're such bite-sized things. You can read them. Some of them you can read in like an hour, and then it's like you forget them. So there was a couple of things that I had reread. I wanted to pick something from The Illustrated Man, which I read this year.
nice.
And so I kind of was thumbing through the stories just to try to refresh my memory. And there's a story called The City. Do you remember that one? You read that one?
Ooh. Yeah, no, I remember. I remember the name. Try and jog my memory.
It's basically a story about this sort of sentient city. Sentient as in, like, I don't know if it's supposed to be AI or whatever. But long story short, it's like an apocalyptic planet, I think. It's like a post-apocalyptic planet. And these people come down to explore it.
Yes.
And the story is like well over 60 years old or whatever, so I'm just gonna like spoil the ending. The city just kills everybody. And you find out that the city just destroyed everything. It's such a dark, like, blunt ending, and I remember reading that and going like, oh my god.
Yeah, no, Ray Bradbury is a savage for like how nice and whimsical his prose is. Like when he wants to be dark, he holds nothing.
He can be
back.
brutal, but he is a genius, or he was a genius, and that was a great short story collection. And I could have picked. He had another one in there, which is probably my actual favorite, called Kaleidoscope, but I had read that before.
Yes,
which is
and
about
I remember
these.
that one.
It's about these astronauts that they're in space. Their ship gets compromised, and they all basically get jettisoned from the ship, and it's them like slowly drifting apart from each other in space. And they have these comm logs, and they're arguing with each other, and it's like basically their last conversations before they all drift far apart, where the comm logs don't work, and they all just they all die.
Yeah, that's
again very dark.
Yeah.
But it's that's probably my actual favorite one, but I didn't want to pick it because I read it last year. Just
Fair enough.
well, I listened to the audio of it on YouTube because somebody sent it to me. But that's a great short story. Ray Bradbury is like easily top 5 writers of all time, in my opinion. He's just the guy can write a yarn, man, and his prose is chef's kiss, So
it is fantastic. He's instantly become one of my favorite American authors for sure.
oh yeah, he was just
It's funny looking at how many authors have come from the Midwest region too, because it's like I forget where exactly he grew up, but I was actually just reading about Simmons today, and he's from that area, and Brooks kind of grew up in that area too.
Dan Simmons, is that who you're talking about?
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
Dan Simmons, he's excellent as well. More on him as well. A lot of any themes here. Okay, let's move on here so we can actually get to. Okay, so what do we got here? So biggest turd. So biggest turd. So biggest turd is like, okay, if you read a turd, fine. That conjures image of actually reading a turd. So I mean a book that sucks. Or like even like I didn't read any bad books this year, but maybe a book, if you didn't read a bad book that you were disappointed by, or even just your least favorite of the year, is fine.
I've kind of got two, and
Okay.
you're gonna kind of like be like, "What?" when I say the other one. The first one was a very short story called The Clearing, part of like a bigger set of novels called the DSA.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of the X-Files. I actually met the author in person. Here, hang on. I've got the books right next to me, actually. This is the book. The author was a very nice guy, and I mean, he was very upfront about it. Like, each book is supposed to like be reminiscent of like an episode of a television show.
Interesting.
He wrote the book specifically like that.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like the narrative in this wasn't enough to justify this just being a single book. Because like, just as it starts to get really good and it starts to flesh out the characters, it's like it's over.
Oh,
so it's
yeah.
like,
Yeah, that's disappointing.
crap. The story itself was pretty passable. Like, there's enough mystery that I would like to keep going with the series for sure. But besides that, yeah, the next one's the first Sword of Shannara book. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, and a lot of people say that. Like, and quick little history lesson: it was very divisive when it came out because a lot of people said it was very derivative of like Tolkien and Lord of the Rings, especially. And there is a lot of similarities. Like, I'm not accusing him of plagiarizing, like, for sure. There is definitely like enough differences, like, sure. But there's a lot of set pieces that are very similar. A lot of the characters, like the band of characters, like there's a dwarf, there's elves, like stuff like that. There's no like Hobbit equivalents.
Yeah.
When people started listing everything out, I was like, oh crap. But there was plenty of people who like defended the book when it came out. Like, actually, Frank Herbert was a big proponent of Brooks. He's like, even if it's very similar, he's like, shouldn't we be celebrating the fact that, you know, he's keeping the spirit of Tolkien alive? And apparently, the first Shannara book was the first fantasy book that stayed at charted the New York Times bestsellers list.
Well, see, I think that's a common complaint with a lot of modern fantasy readers is how like fantasy was derivative during that time period, especially like 70s and 80s of like Tolkien. I don't have that criticism. I like unless it's like carbon copy, like if because you like the story itself can be original even if it's kind of using that Tolkien-esque aesthetic.
Trope stuff, yeah.
Maybe it's just me. It could be nostalgia. It could be whatever. I like that old sword and sorcery wizard goblins. Like I have a soft spot.
Man,
for
you would
it.
love this series then.
I was actually looking for a book like that to read this year. Which I wasn't disappointed by, but I could mention it real quick. It's called Lord Fowl's Bane by Stephen R. Donaldson. I don't know if you ever read that.
No, the name of the author sounds familiar, though.
It was a good book. The main character is so incredibly unlikable, though. Like, and
is it intentional though?
To the point where you know it's intentional. Like,
okay, yeah.
It's like he must have done it intentionally because he's such a bastard. You just don't like him. He does some horrible things. He's so negative. He's just like he's always the turd in the punch bowl. Like all the other characters are noble. They're good-hearted. They're like honor and like, you know, all this stuff, and he's just like this miserable fuck. He's like this reluctant hero, you know, and it's like but at the same time you do feel sympathy for him because he has, you know, kind of he's got like a bad ailment, I'll say, so you understand why they explain why he is the way he is, but he gets to a certain point where you're just like, fuck this guy, you know?
Yeah.
But the book itself was good, so it's like, but it's also kind of derivative of a little bit of that like Tolkien-esque fantasy. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
I will end that caveat though, or of that stipulation with still one of my favorite scenes in the whole series takes place in the first book.
Cool.
And so I mentioned earlier, they basically come across the ruins of like an old Earth city, and they fight like a magical mechanical monstrosity. It's like I forget how it's described, but it's like giant like worm / scorpion thing, and it's like it was just a very interesting battle to have with like swords and magic and like a burnt out husk of like an old Earth city with like this like almost like something. It honestly felt like a scene out of Doom.
Yeah, it sounds like I was thinking it sounds like a Final Fantasy boss fight.
Yeah.
You know. For my biggest turd, it wasn't that fantasy book. I actually rather enjoyed it. It wasn't a turd. It was just not really. it didn't live up to its hype, probably, and that's the first culture book. I've tried to read the culture novels by Ian M. Banks, which are this, I guess not Star Trek. It's like all novels that are standalone, but are within the same universe. So you could read book 4, and it's its own story, kind of thing. There's just like in the background things go on, right? So the first book was really good. It was like, not really good. It was I liked the premise of it. It was like a big space opera, big scope kind of thing. The characters felt a little cold, a little unlikable, which I don't really mind that. Like, I'm a little bit of a weirdo with that. Like, I love good characters. Like, Brandon Sanderson being an example of someone who just writes wonderful characters. But I'm not characters don't make or break a book unless there's nothing else going on in the book. Like, if nothing else is going on in the book and the characters are shit too, it's like, okay, all right, this isn't, but like, there's a lot of science fiction where the characters are barely characters, but the ideas are so good, and like the scope and stuff is so cool, and the philosophies and stuff. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent, but anyway, this book I appreciate what Banks tried to do. The scale's big. He sets up, what the culture is, takes place during a war sort of thing, big sort of, big scope and everything. I just felt like the book slogged a bit. I still really, I rather enjoyed it, but I don't think it lived up to the massive hype that series has. And then I read the second book, The Player of Games, which was better, I would say, but still didn't quite hold up. So I still want to read a little more of that, because I want to give it its due. I've heard the third book is probably the best one, so I think if the third book doesn't do it for me, I might end it there. But if not, then, or if I do enjoy it, maybe I'll read a couple other books. But, yeah, for me, it was just that first, like you with Shannara, like sometimes the first book in a series isn't necessarily the best, No,
not at all. And I honestly, I will say, though, that second book is like chef's kiss.
Okay,
like,
that's
one of
good.
the biggest problems with Shannara 1, real quick, too, is that it meanders a lot. And
Yeah.
there's too many separate plot threads going on. Book 2, literally just like 2 different plot threads. That's it. It really develops the smaller cast of characters more. Things move a lot quicker. It doesn't feel like the plot's stagnating. And like there's long stretches in the first book where like not a lot of action happens. Book 2, it's like off to the races almost at like the beginning. Like to the point where it's like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time, because like one of the big plot points, there's like an antagonist like chasing the one group of characters like almost the entire book, and they're just trying to stay ahead of it. So there's always that like tension of like, have they got far enough away from it, because it's something they can't even really deal with at that time. So
cool. Well, it sounds like maybe he learned his lessons from the first book.
Yeah, absolutely. He said it was probably the book he had to work the hardest to write, so I think that's one of the reasons why.
Well, it makes sense. Was it his first published novel, or?
The second one.
Okay, well, again, we were just talking about Brandon Sanderson. I mean, look at his, like, Elantris is great, and so is like Mistborn. But if you compare those two books to what came later, it is a bit simpler. Like you could tell that he just really became more of a writer, and I feel like that's the case with any writer. You read unless there are some where it's like their first book, it's like whoa, but sometimes it takes a writer a little while to hone their craft.
Yeah.
What's your wild card book? This was what I posed to like in the 11th hour here.
You did, but like I have something that'll fit that pretty well. And spoiler alert, I might as well say it since I'm going to be showing it anyway. This also made my honorable mentions list. Called Murder Birds.
You've told me about this.
Yeah, it's an anthology short story collection about various stories either involving birds as main characters or like stuff related to birds. Like there's a story about like this alien humanoid bird race that's tangentially like related to an Earth species bird, which is really fun. And then some stories take place from the perspective of birds. Some stories feature just people with birds. Like the author's story that he contributed was hilarious. It's about how his pet parrot accidentally summons a demon. his computer, which is really funny. But yeah, no, I met Mike at the same con I met Terry at.
Welcome to the aviary. I love it.
Yeah, and no, it's honestly a lot of fun. Like some of them are like kind of dark or sad, depressing. Some of them are like really hysterical. Gotta say, overall, it was certainly worth it. And he's got 2 sequels he's working on with a bunch of other authors, Murder Bugs. And I forget what the third one's supposed to be.
He's got to get Tchaikovsky for Murder Bugs, because Tchaikovsky.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
And if you see, it says UE Volume 1, and he said that stands for Unhelpful Encyclopedia.
I will have to eventually get that from you, because I'm a bird nut, as you know. So I love birds, but I like the idea of like, you know, the entire theme of all the short stories is bird heavy. Sounds very cool. So
yeah, no, and there's multiple genres too. There's horror, there's sci-fi, there's fantasy.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be into that.
Yeah, it's not just relegated to one genre at all. So
what a weird idea for a book, but I love it. You know.
I know. I found out about him and the book. I was doing some research about the con, seeing what authors and stuff are going to be there. I'm like, I got to get that book. He also has written like a sci-fi series that's supposed to be very Trek-like, but that's the only book I've read from him.
Do you know the name of it?
They did like, say again?
Do you know the name of the series?
Crew. Yeah, This Fine Crew.
This Fine Crew. Okay, I have to maybe check that out.
To that.
My wild card, not as interesting as yours, but I figured, you know, so for those who don't know, I love collecting old vintage science fiction. It's probably my favorite thing, like especially old paperbacks, like mass market paperbacks. I love them because they're cheap. They got that wonderful musty smell, and they always have like the coolest covers. So once in a while, when I go to a bookstore and I'm just buying books or browsing them, I'll just thumb through stuff and I'll see one. Never judge a book by its cover, but because those covers are so cool, I'll see a cover, I'm like, that's cool, I gotta get that. So I found this just based solely on the cover. I'll point it up there.
Oh, interesting.
If it focuses, focus camera, you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it's called The Valley Where Time Stood Still. And I didn't think it was going to be much. Lynn Carter, by the way, ended up becoming very integral to, more so as a publisher, I think. I think he's behind Ballantine Books. Don't quote. I think it's Ballantine Books, which was like a big fantasy publisher in the 70s and 80s. But anyway, I just happened to find this book. I loved the cover, and I was like, I'm going to read that this year. So I read it, and it was... Was it dated a little? Yeah. Was it slightly tropey? Yeah. But I really enjoyed it. I did not expect to enjoy a book that I just randomly picked off the shelf based on the cover to be as good as it was. And it was a cool little story about basically it's one of those dated things, like Ray Bradbury does that a little bit in like Illustrated Man, where it's like, oh, you know, Mars was a had a civilization on it, and in this, like, the civilization's ended, but there's people living on Mars, and then main character's an Earthman, and they go on this journey to this valley, and he meets this sort of, like, Martian who is native, who is very, like, Native American kind of trope sort of thing, and they go to this valley where sort of, like, mysterious things happen. There's, like, this kind of magic there, and it was really cool. It was, like, kind of psychedelic. It was just different. So I feel like this is a book nobody's ever heard of or read. So I highly recommend it to people. I really enjoyed it. So there you go. Shedding some light on a obscure gem.
Yeah, some of that premise almost reminds me of Hyperion, like, because it's like
a little bit, yeah.
In a valley where time is all wonky too.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan Simmons read something like this, or you know what I mean. It all kind of goes back, you know, the further you go back, it goes back to those original stories, you know.
Yeah.
Those pioneers. Okay. We can almost get to the top 10 now. Is there any other questions? Let me see.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, we did the least favorites, total amount of books.
Oh, there's one question, and then there's one more question, and then I want to, right before we do those, give us a minute if there's any books you wanted to showcase that you purchased this year, if there's anything. I've only got like a couple, so are there any books that you wish you had read this year, or by this year in 2023, that you weren't able to get to?
No, not really. Like I said, I've just been kind of trying to read stuff at my own pace. I mean, I suppose it would have been cool to finish Defiant by the time it came out already, but I'm kind of like savoring it. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I've only read like half of Sanderson's secret projects. I still haven't read Yumi or Sunlit Man, but we could read them together. So that's
we've talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the first ones I was going to mention. Is I only read one of Brandon's secret project novels, so I'd like to read the other three. Two of which I would like to read with you, and then I at some point I want to read Frugal Wizard's Guide to Surviving Medieval England. Is that
Yeah, you got it. Yep, that was fun. It's definitely my least favorite, but it's non-Cosmere and it's different. I was telling Rob audience that it reminds me as if like Sanderson wrote like a timeline-esque story, like Timeline as in by Michael Crichton.
Yeah. I only had a couple I wanted to talk about. One was the Secret Project novels, and then I'm only going to talk about two of them. Okay. So one is by everybody's favorite, Mr. George R. Martin, and it's called Tough Voyagin'. I was told about this by my good sorry, I almost said putty. I was told about this a while ago by my good buddy Peter. So shout out Peter if you ever watch this, because he's a big book nerd as well and has introduced me to a ton of stuff. And thank you, Peter. You're awesome. I love you, buddy. And he told me about Tough Voyagin', and I gotta tell this anecdote. Peter's like, he's like, I kind of want to meet. He told me this the one day. He's like, I kind of want to meet George R. R. Martin and say to him, hey, there's this series that you did that's unfinished, that's beloved by so many people, and I just really want to see another entry in it. And he wants to. He was gonna say something like, when are you gonna finish Tough Voyagin'? But apparently,
really appreciate that.
Yeah, so apparently, like, I think this is. I'm not even positive. I think this is kind of like a short story thing, but it's like, it's more of like an episodic thing where this dude Tough is like he's like a space. I think he's like a space pirate type of thing. I don't know much about this book. I've been meaning to read this. This has been on my like to read shelf for a while. I'm getting to this year. I'm gonna read this within the next like 2 or 3 books I read. I want to read this. Cool. I'm a big Song of Ice and Fire fan. Yes, George needs to finish that fucking series already. But like, he was actually, before Song of Ice and Fire, a prolific writer. Like, apparently he wrote a lot of short stories. He did a lot of screenplays. He worked on some TV shows. And so I've never really read anything by him or seen him do anything science fiction. So the fact that he's got this, I'm very interested in it. So yeah, Tough Voyagin' is one that I didn't get to, but is a big one that I want to get to this year.
You'll have to let me know. I've always been curious.
Yeah, and I will, and if I like it, if I think it's good, I can lend it to you as well.
Okay.
And then the other one is one we're reading together. I really wanted to read Children of Memory this year, but I just didn't get to it. You got me this copy. Was this for my birthday? Thank you again, Matt.
Yes. Yeah, of course. You're welcome.
I have to get Children of Ruin because I audiobooked that, and I don't have. I have this in Children of Time, but now I got to get Children of Ruin. We're like, I'm like 100 pages in now, so this is like one of my first books of the year. So I'm glad you and I are getting to read it together. But I really tried hard to, like, I wanted it to be read last year, but it's okay. Like you said, no pressure, right? But Adrian Tchaikovsky's a genius, and anybody who doesn't know him, check out Children of Time, and Children of Ruin was good too. And I will let everybody know next year when we do this video again, we can talk about Children of Memory.
If we remember, if our memory doesn't fail us.
Yeah. Okay, so before we go to get to the honorable mentions and top 10, was there any books you wanted to showcase? That you any acquisitions that you got this year that you wanted to show?
Sure. I'm not gonna leave the couch here because I've got like some books to the left. Otherwise, we'll be here till the cows come home. But I found this at a local mom and pop shop.
So jealous.
Down in Jersey, and not only that, it is a signed edition. And for those of you who don't know, Rush is like one of my top 3 favorite bands.
Same.
So to like get this. Freaking awesome. And I am genuinely curious about like the history of the band, like as told by like Getty, because he's probably one of my favorite singers and bass players too.
Yeah, he's amazing. For those who don't know, he's the frontman of Rush, singer, bass player. There is apparently a chapter in that book where he I think it's the 3rd chapter where he goes very in depth with his family's history of the Holocaust. Because I don't know.
It's literally the 1st chapter, dude.
Oh, okay.
It opens with that.
Oh, okay, it opens. Yeah, which sounds like real heavy, you know. But he said, I've seen interviews with him, and he said something like, "Oh, you know, I needed to tell that story because people wouldn't understand me if they didn't hear that story," which makes sense. So it's that's awesome. I'm jealous of that one.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's see, what else did I get? I can showcase some more books that I actually got from that convention, too. I met Martina Fetzer at the con, too. This book was like an acid trip. It's book 1 out of a series. It's basically like 2 agents, and it's almost like, it's mostly sci-fi, like fantasy. Like, this sets the tone for like the whole series, just the way she signed it.
Kudos on... starting with book 1.
Yeah, very sarcastic. Yeah, very sarcastic. But yeah, it's definitely a romp. Even the blurb's hysterical. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I definitely got to get more books in the series. It was like, it definitely reminded me of like Douglas Adam for sure. Adam Douglas. Oh my God! Wow. Yeah, brain fart there. Oh my God. It's late, people.
While you're reaching for one, we can show stuff, you know, in tandem, I suppose. This, you know, again, vintage sci-fi. I've gotten some other ones, so I was like, instead of showing a bunch of vintage sci-fi, I just show one. This dude's stuff's really hard to get vintage, and I found it. This is Philip K. Dick book, Scanner Darkly. This is going to be my next read. Once I'm done Children of Memory, I may even start it if I end up getting ahead of you or whatever. But yeah, so like I went to this little bookstore in the town. It's like the next town over that I actually work in, and this lady who owns it had a ton of Philip K. Dick, and his stuff's hard to get. This was $20, but it's not bad. It's awesome. I've been meaning to read this. She had a copy of Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep for $100. Couldn't afford that, but but she also had some other stuff of his that were a little cheaper stuff. So if I want to grab some more Dick, I'm gonna have to go back to that bookstore.
I was about to say that's a mighty fine Dick.
Yeah, I thought I'd show my Dick to you, to all of you.
Yeah,
you know?
Dude.
There it is.
The Dick is wrapped up. It's
and,
wrapped.
Yeah. Always wrap your dicks. You know, just you gotta remember to wrap the Dick, otherwise it's gonna get all dirty. So. I mean, for those who don't know, Philip K. Dick is a really prolific sci-fi writer and just writes the weirdest shit. He was on a lot of drugs when he wrote a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like literally, like people like to throw that phrase around, but no, like actually, like literally, he was on drugs.
Yeah, he was on a lot of drugs. Yeah, but he wrote some amazing stories. Anything else you wanted to show?
Yeah, you know what? Give me just a quick second. 'Cause I've got something right here too. This was my first broken binding purchase of the year, and I'm both like forever really upset that I found out about that site / not. This is book 4 in the Night Angel series by Brent Weeks. I read books 2, 3 out of this this year, and yeah, this is signed and numbered, which is really cool.
Ooh.
It's like an embossed seal.
I love
too.
that. That's cool.
Really neat.
813, is that what it is?
Yep, out of 1,500.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yep, and I still have to read that. Like this is on the TBR list for this year for sure. I might actually do this after I finish Defiant because I've had this book for quite a while now, since like at least October,
Nice.
and it's just been sitting pretty on my shelf.
I didn't get as many fancy books as Matt. Really only got one. It was a gift for Christmas, actually. Rachel got it for me. But I did get this lovely leather bound of Dune.
Yeah, that is beautiful.
Yeah, which it's a Barnes & Noble exclusive. So I love the binding, you know?
Okay, I wasn't sure if that was the Easton Press one, but yeah, wow, that looks so good.
Yeah, and like the gold. I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I have
just so
the,
good. Like to the point where we have it just sitting on our mantle in our house. Got some cool like artwork, the ornithopters and stuff.
Yeah, honestly, the Barnes and Noble's editions are really good for the price point. Like,
Yeah, we got that cool foundation one, and it's beautifully done. I mean, you know, it's Dune, right? I love the sandworms on the back.
yeah.
So
I have
cool.
American Gods and Anansi Boys Barnes and Noble's leatherbound, and I also have the Hitchhiker's Guide collection leatherbound from Barnes and Noble.
They do some great stuff. You got the Wheel of Time one too, right?
Yes, the very first book, which makes me sad they didn't continue in that tradition.
Matt,
Which is
I don't-
literally-
I don't want to be a pain in the ass. You gotta show off those Tchaikovskys, man. Those things
Yeah,
are.
no, I was gonna go. Yep, and we're back.
We
right.
are back! Yay! Matt went to go get some more books.
Yes.
I've only got one more thing to show off at the end, and then I'll let Matt go take it for a while.
I'm bringing this because this is the only secret project I actually have open out of the shrink wrap. I just wanted to give you guys an idea of what the Sanderson secret projects look like. They got a lot of foil, really nice and shiny. And I forgot to mention that this book is also very similar to like Hitchhiker's Guide in tone as well. But like
Even the title. The artwork's
oh,
great.
yeah. But there's tons of like
I love like the blue font and everything.
pictures.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and like all the chapter headers have like stuff like that,
Cool.
stones with runes on them. And then every now and then you'll get pages from the actual Wizard's Handbook like that.
Wow, that's cool.
Yep, and like occasionally there's like mini comics and stuff that are like happening throughout like the book. Well, that's just another example of a
Oh,
handbook,
cool.
but yeah,
I'm
where's the
looking forward to
little-
reading that one.
Yeah. But yeah, like if you look at the bottom of the page there, there's like a bunch of little doodles,
Nice.
which is really cool. I've never seen a book do that before. So in terms of presentation, this is definitely one of the coolest books I own for sure.
Well, for those who don't know, that's part of Brandon Sanderson's Kickstarter campaign, which is the highest funded Kickstarter ever, like ever across the board. What did they
Yeah, it
raise?
was
Like
like
40? Was it $40 million or something like that? Was it that much?
33,
Huh?
33, I think.
Wow. Yeah. So you're gonna get some nice books.
Oh yeah. Then while we're talking about Brando Sando, I also got the Warbreaker leatherbound. This one
Thing's
isn't
beautiful.
signed or numbered because at the time I was like, oh, I already have the Warbreaker hardback. Why would I need the leatherbound? Because, fun fact, I only own the original Mistborn trilogy in like leatherbound hardback, and I got like the really nice, rare signed and number copies of those. But of course, buyer's remorse, and then Sanderson said his leatherbounds were going up, you know, because the cost of material is increasing. So I was like, crap, let me just get it before it goes up in price.
Yeah.
But like this thing,
It's beautiful.
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, that thing is amazing.
There's lots of cool artwork in it. Like there's a multiple like colored spreads.
Wow. Not my favorite of his books, but like still really unique and like, yeah, the whole color thing. I love it.
Oh yeah, and there's definitely a lot of implications for like the future of the Cosmere. Sure. Oh yeah, and real quick, let me just get to the chapter headers. They're absolutely insane. A colored map here.
Ooh.
Yeah, look at this. Look at the chapter headers.
Wow. Yeah.
It's insane.
That's the most epic eye I've ever seen.
Yeah, I know, right? And I think all the chapters kind of start like that. And the one character, those of you who've read the book, the God King, his words are in purple ink. That's how extra this.
Ooh. Wow, yeah. That's one, like, maybe you read once, and then if you read it again, you get a beat-up paperback.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, whenever I move into my, eventual forever home, I actually did get this copy to read since it's unsigned or, like, unpersonalized. This, believe it or not, that'll probably be my reading copy.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, because the other one's signed and personalized, so that's kind of cool. I had ordered it from his site way back in the day, but here's another book. I'm going to be mentioning this again very shortly. Another hour from now in the geological Rob and Matt, book timeline.
Yeah.
But I met Christopher Russell. He's also another author I met at AwesomeCon in DC, and this is awesome. I'm not going to say much about it until I talk about it later, but I got this off his site. There's only 50 hardbacks of this available because I guess it was a very limited thing. It's numbered too. There's only 50 of these things, and I got 37.
To Matt, for the Empire, from his breath to my last, or this breath to my last. Cool, very nice.
Yep. Which is a direct quote from the book too, which is awesome. And yeah, no, it was really cool. And perhaps the piece there is a song.
Yeah, these are the. I'm gonna say these are the coolest books I've ever seen, in my opinion. These are cool.
Children of Time trilogy or Children of Trilogy, whatever you want to call it, but we're not going to talk about how much I spent on the aftermarket for these things. But
hey, question.
Honestly, children.
Question for you: What do they look like without the dust covers? Like, have you seen?
Ooh, macaron. Yeah, no, you're right. I probably should have looked because they probably. Whoa! See, we're learning.
Wait, so you have never seen this, or is this like all for?
Look at that.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
It is. I'm wondering.
Have you seen that before or no?
I've probably seen images online. Now I'm gonna have to look at the other two.
So cool.
You know what? The other one, the other broken binding one, the Night Angel one, I bet you that's got something on the foil too.
Like, I kind of like that more than the dust covers, I mean, you keep the dust covers, obviously, but...
Yeah, to keep the boards from getting scuzzy.
Yeah, but it's that's really cool.
Cool. Yeah, alright. What do we got for Children of Ruin, then?
And
I'm wondering if it's just going to be the same image, but different... Okay, yep, it's the same image, but, like, this is a purple
one. Ah, it's still cool, though.
It
so
is.
cool.
It's very cool.
Can you show the sides again? Like, the end of the pages?
Yes, I can do that.
They're just, like, the coolest thing I've ever seen. I like the way they printed them.
Yeah, no, this book retailer does this a lot with the spray.
So cool. Yeah.
And I'll show Children of Times again real quick.
Very nice. Are you reading, since we're doing memory, are you reading that copy, or are you reading,
No, I have a regular hardback copy of that.
Oh, cool.
And I will probably eventually get, like, a regular, like, paperback of Time. Yeah, for those of us in America or Canada, like, there's a lot of older Tchaikovsky books, because up until recently, I don't think could really get hardbacks here. Like even just a normal hardback of Children of Time that's not special, not signed, not like that at all. It's like almost $200.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
That was part of the reason I was able to justify it. Oh yeah, and all these special editions I just showed, they're all signed too. Ooh, look at that color.
Ooh, I like that. That's like a yellow.
Yellowish. Yep, that's my favorite color.
They're very nice. Such cool books.
I'll show this one since it was already open, but yep, that's his signature.
Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, those are the coolest books I think you have. They're excellent.
I would be inclined to believe to say that, but it's like I'm also very biased because I love Brandon a lot.
Yeah.
But like, besides the Sanderson leatherbounds, I 100% agree with you.
They're just so neat. Yeah.
Right.
Cool. I only have. Do you have anything else to show?
I was just gonna see what the if there was like any kind of foil on the front of the other one, real quick.
Oh yeah, good call. Yeah.
It's like show and tell. Whoa, that's really cool. Check that out.
Ooh. Let's see the front. Oh wow.
Yeah, that's really
They're
nice.
really nice, man.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that's supposed to be right there, but it's still really cool nonetheless.
Very cool. That website's gonna make you go bankrupt.
Yeah. It is, because shipping is unfortunately not cheap at all since it's in the UK.
So you're getting the because I'm showing old paperbacks and stuff. So you're getting the low end of the scale on my end.
Oh.
So anyway, yeah, this last one is a surprise for Matt. So got these literally today. I went to this place called Value Village in Canada, which is, if you're not Canadian, it's basically like it's like a Goodwill, or like you buy reused stuff, but they usually have really good quality stuff. Anyway, as always, I went in there to look for a pair of gloves, and the first thing I do is go right to the right of the entrance and go peruse the books, and I found these.
Yo, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, they're really cool, like vintage paperbacks. And the first book, Sword of Shannara.
Huh?
That's my kind of price range. Oh, you can't see it. $2.99, like $2.99. And this one's $3.49.
And look how big the first one is compared to the second one. So it's like you can visually see what I meant by the blow, like visually.
Yeah. Yep. So these, I was looking to see if they had one of his other books, but it wasn't from the series. But these have that classic, like look at this one. If this doesn't scream 80s fantasy, I don't know what does. You know?
It was actually in the 70s, that one. That
oh,
was
70s?
Like
okay.
78, I think.
Okay.
Hang on, I can pull up copy of the book right here because it has the original publishing dates. At least it should. Yeah, 1977, dude.
Okay, so yeah, this is really old, like classic.
Yep. Elfstones was 82.
Yeah.
And then Wish Song, which was the third, was 85.
I also bought the second. Oh, what's the name of that series? The Wizard's First Rule. I bought the second book.
Oh, cool.
Because it was cheap. So yeah. Anyway, so I thought I'd surprise Matt with these, and if I read them, I'll probably mess with these. So
yeah.
Anyway.
And I will say, like, I think you will be able to finish like first book, but if for whatever reason you can't, like, you probably can go to book 2, honestly, because it takes place like quite a few years later, and it tells you everything you need to know that happened from the first one anyway.
Cool. Well, I probably would read the first one. I like bloated fantasy, so I'll probably be reading it.
Yeah.
Any other books, or should we finally get to this top 10?
Yeah, let's get to the top 10. Our audience is probably on life support right now.
Yeah, they are. But, it's all right.
Very lucky.
I'm willing to sacrifice you all.
That's a deep cut reference, by the way, for anybody else who's like watched his other videos.
Yeah, true, fair enough. And actually, before we get to the top 10, let's go to our honorable mentions.
Oh my god, yeah! We haven't even got there yet. Alright, you want to go first?
So, I say instead of, like, switching, we'll try to make it somewhat brief. And,
no, I can definitely. I've actually written small sentences here. I'm just going to read them right as I
Sounds good. I didn't write it. I just have a list. And I said about 5. Mine's a little more. I think I have 7 books, because I didn't want to keep it like a hard 5, because sometimes you have a hard time. Like, there's just books you want to mention, even if it's not. So anyway, so I'll go through mine. Let me just get my props. All right. So for you and myself, I have most of these. I have actual books for. For those that I don't, I'll put a graphic up Same with you. Any books that we've talked about that we don't have a physical of, I'll put a graphic up. First one I want to mention. To be honest, it probably wasn't even in my top 15 or so, but I wanted to mention it anyway, because it kind of comes full circle for me. God Emperor of Dune. I read.
Nah. What a cover.
Yeah, this is going back to the dick thing, you know.
Yeah.
That's it's a sandworm. So God Emperor of Dune. I feel like this is a 5-star book that I rated about like a 4-star book. It was really good. It's got that Dune thing, the atmosphere. It's a book that went over my head a lot.
Yeah.
It's one of those books where it's like I know it's brilliant, but it's like in terms of a read, I really did enjoy it, but it was like just so much of it went over my head. There'd be times where it's basically like this. I don't want to spoil much, but yeah, the God Emperor of Dune is part sandworm, part human, and goes on these long monologues, like philosophical monologues and stuff, political monologues. There's a lot of weird shit that happens in it. It's again like another theme I suppose for this year is psychedelia. There's a lot of like very strange, weird, ethereal, like heady shit that I've read, and this is definitely probably the headiest of them all. So yeah, this is a notorious book. Some people say this is the last Dune book that you really need to read. Some people say it's the worst Dune book. Some people say it's the greatest Dune book. It is a Dune book, and it is a very strange Dune book, and I very much enjoyed it, but I don't really know what to say about it. So yeah, it just had to be mentioned. So this probably marks the end of my Dune journey, aside from maybe rereading. I could see myself rereading the first 4 books, including this one. If I read any other books, it would be the 2 that follow it, and that's it, because I'm only interested in the stuff Frank Herbert wrote. I'm not really interested. No offense to Kevin J. Anderson, he's a great writer, and Brian Herbert, but I'm not really interested in any of the Dune books after Frank passed away. To me, it's his series, and that's it. So yeah, God Emperor Dune's the first one. Trying to go quicker. This was one that was in your top 10 last year, and I was delighted to finally read it. The only one of these books I read by this guy. He's probably my favorite author, so I wish I'd read more, but whatever. Pirate Latitudes. This was probably a 5-star book for me, but you can't put it all in the top 10, right? Fun.
Oh, you can't.
Swashbuckling adventure. You may have said this. It's the best pirate movie that hasn't been made yet. So,
Dude, it blows my mind. It writes itself. You wouldn't even have to change anything.
It was so fun. It was like it's kind of like historical fiction-y kind of thing. Crichton is just a fucking genius, man. His stories grab you and don't let go until the book's over, you know. And I just flew through this. I really read it over the summer. It was such a fun book. We talked about this one. The next one is short story collection, The Illustrated Man.
Yes.
Loved it. It was fantastic. For a while, it was on my top 10 list, but then just kept getting bumped a little bit. Just because you can't read everything, right? I mean, you just can't. So, you know, for me, a lot of great short stories in this. Yeah, Ray Bradbury. Read him. I've loved everything I've read by him. The next one I'll mention, I don't have a copy of, and that's, you probably could put up a graphic here, but that's Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson.
Yes.
Which, again, just shy of my top 10. Really good book. Because it's Brandon Sanderson, you know, it's probably a 5-star book, but in terms of a Brandon Sanderson book, it's probably, for me, like a 4, maybe 4.5. Because it's not Stormlight, it's not, you know, those. But it was great. It was kind of a cute little sort of fairy tale story. I love that basically the whole book is narrated by a certain character, which I won't spoil.
Yeah.
Which was really neat. It kind of gave the book a very unique voice, which I really enjoyed. Which I almost feel like is Brandon's actual voice. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was very fun. I think the only problem I had with it is I may have stretched that book a little too a little too far over the year because there was a gap between me reading it about halfway. Because
Yeah.
I was reading I was reading it on my phone through like an ebook, and then I stopped reading it for a little bit just because I was busy, and then I went back to it and just finished it in the audiobook, which turned out well. I was able to finish the book, but sometimes if you stretch out a book like that, it affects your enjoyment of it a little bit. At least it does for me. Like, I can stretch out a book to a certain point, but when it's been like months and months and I still haven't finished the book, it starts to feel like, okay, I have, let's get this thing done already, kind of thing. But nevertheless, it was a great story. I really loved it. Lots of, little nods to other things in the Cosmere. So yeah, Tress is definitely on there. Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. Creepy, dark, sludgy, swampy science fiction. Really, really. I read this in Costa Rica, and it takes place in like a hot, humid jungle, and it was real good. Yeah, really dark. There's apparently a movie about this that I haven't seen. Fantastic. I thought it was really, really dark and weird, and that's my kind of thing. So, Annihilation, read that. There's apparently sequels that aren't as good, but I'd be willing to maybe try them. As you can see, it's a short book. It was a really fast read and perfect kind of lay in the sun and read a book on vacation. I think I killed that book in like 2 days.
Nice.
Now you saw the large phallic worm on God Emperor of Dune. You saw me show my dick to everybody, and now I can finally say this year, after many years, I finally got my hands on some more cock.
Oh my god. Yeah, I've been meaning to check his stuff out. Like, it's supposed to be... I mean, obviously, it's on your runner-up list, so it's gotta be good.
So, this is a series I just finished. It's called The Dancers at the End of Time.
Yes.
Going back to psychedelia, look at these covers, man. I love vintage science fiction covers. So it's trilogy, goes into his greater universe. It's basically about a guy named Jarek Carnelian. Jarek Carnelian, who lives at the end of time, really far out in the future. Super crazy, like so far removed from our reality, both morally and otherwise. He really pushes boundaries on this, especially in the first book. And he falls in love with, it's a whole time travel story, going back to the whole time travel thing, and psychedelia, aside from God Emperor, weirdest thing I've read this year. And he meets this girl from the late 1800s and falls in love with her. And it's about their story, and they get thrown around through time, and a bunch of crazy shit happens, and it's a really fun book. Really funny book. Yeah, really weird. So, I've been meaning to check out his big fantasy series too, the Elric books, which were like super influential. But in terms of this trilogy, I really, really enjoyed it. Just shy of my top 10. And my last... actually, was that my last one? No, it's not. I don't have a physical one of my last one. My last one I have a physical copy of. This probably should be in my top 10, but it wasn't. And it's a book called Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. One of the very best new science fiction books I've read in a long time. It's probably up there with Tchaikovsky and even Andy Weir in terms of how much I liked it. It's a multiverse story. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's this man who basically ends up traversing the multiverse. That's what I'll say. It's batshit crazy. It's a really, really cool book. So, Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I can't recommend that one enough. I audiobooked it, so. That's my honorable mentions.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll try and keep mine brief, too. In no particular order is Different Seasons by Stephen King.
Yep.
Highlights are obviously Shawshank and Apt Pupil, and there's only two more stories besides those. And the one is about, I think it's the movie, I forget the name of the short story, but I think No, I think the short story is called The Stand, and the movie was called something else, or I might be mixing it up. It's about a bunch of kids who get lost in the wilderness, and in Maine, of course.
Oh, you're
And they,
thinking of Stand By Me. Yeah,
yes,
that's the
yeah.
movie. Because The Stand is
Okay.
that massive, yeah, sci-fi book that he did. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, my bad. Then yeah, I forget the name of the novel, but the name of the novel's different. It's not Stand By Me. But that was okay. But then the last one was like a creepy, spooky ghost story, like little anthology
Ooh,
collection.
nice.
That was just one story. So that's on the list. I'm kind of cheating on this one, but the two books that preceded the Brent Weeks book that I showcased, Night Angel 2 and 3, I'm counting those as one because I'm cheating. Those were
I
really good.
counted I counted series together, to be honest. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Those are the beginning of the year. Neat little thing. It's got like supernatural warriors in like a medieval setting. That's all I'm gonna say. There's a lot of spoilers if I get into it too much. Disclosure by Michael Crichton's on there. The Cliff Notes version, it's like a tale of kind of like corporate espionage and like false sexual assault allegations, and about how people can twist things real bad.
Yep.
And that was like edge of your seat the whole time.
Eh,
Murder Birds was on there. I went on my spiel about that earlier. Hyperion was so close to being in my top 10. But I think what did it for me was kind of what happened for my one of my least favorite books this year. Hyperion almost stuck the landing, but the whole book was basically just set up, and like it didn't really pay off. And I'm
Yeah.
assuming the second book, which is called Fall of Hyperion, is everything that it was building up to. But I'm like, so good. It almost feels like a sci-fi, like
Like
I
a
don't know, something like Canterbury Tales. There's just like a
Yep.
bunch of like vignettes in it,
Yep.
and all the stories by themselves are great, but it's like the main plot doesn't really get to go anywhere because of it at the same time.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't crack my top 10. Then the last recommendation is middle book of the Voyage of the Ural Shannara trilogy. And this book too, like the previous series, which was a tetralogy, book 2, is very dark, very mature, and more sci-fi than fantasy. Without too many spoilers, there's like a rogue AI. In post-apocalyptic Earth, they end up going to another continent. It's called Park Asia, so I don't know if it's supposed to be Europe or Asia. It's heavily hinted at that the Four Lands, which is where Shannara is set, is like West Coast America. But yeah, no, it's very dark. There's this like rogue AI in a complex that's trying to kill all the main characters who
Ooh,
have
cool.
literal swords and axes, and like there's like maybe a wizard or two, and it's like this AI that's trying to kill them.
Wow.
And it's got like a squad of like hitmen that are like spider robots and stuff, and it's bonkers.
It's weird seeing those covers like looking so high fantasy, and then you
Yep.
explaining how science fiction it gets. It's cool.
And it doesn't always like doff that hat or don that hat, but when it does, it puts that hat on hard for sure.
Ooh.
And yeah, no, I as a whole, I wasn't overly fond of that trilogy, but book 2 was really good.
Very nice.
And yeah, those were my recommendations.
Cool. You had some great stuff in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
crack.
Well, guess what, everybody? We're finally at the top 10. So
Finally did it.
for this, we'll switch off. Like, whoever goes first, I'll do 10, you do 10, I'll do 9. You know what I mean? So I'll let you go first on this one. What's your number 10?
Okay. Well, people are gonna hate me because my next few books are also from the same series. Okay, book number 10 is The First King of Shannara, which was at one point chronologically Terry's earliest entry in the timeline of these books. It was written, I think it was his 8th book in the Shannara series. Like, he wrote it after the tetralogy, which is like 300 years after the first 3 books. But this takes place 500 years before the first book. And in explicit detail explains the creation of the actual Sword of Shannara, which is the name of the first novel and is a talisman featured in that first book. It goes into that creation. It goes into the previous wizard before the main wizard. They're called druids in this, like the good wizards. It covers that guy's quest to forge the sword and like defeat like the main antagonist of like the first book. It doesn't obviously work because 500 years later he comes back. But it details that it was also the first book with multiple druids because until then there's only one in the first 3 books at a time for the most part. So it was cool getting to see multiple magic users on screen at once. I also felt like it worked really good as a standalone book. Like, he definitely got better at that. Even though he had just got done writing 4 books that are one contiguous story, but like books 2 and 3 of that tetralogy could have been their own story too, which was really neat. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it worked really well as a single story, and you actually get introduced to the main wizard of first 3 books too. Because it's not really a huge spoiler, but like one of the things the druids can do is kind of skip time. They call it the druid sleep, so they can live hundreds of years by like basically skipping time every now and then. So you get introduced to him. He's like literally just like a little kid in this. Basically, he's like a preteen. So they explore that just a little bit. I wish they would have explored it more. That's like one of my main criticisms. Like, Alanon is the name of the wizard from the original trilogy, and he's only introduced in the book in like maybe the last 100 pages, and it's like a 400-page book.
Oh,
so it's like I was kind of hoping he'd be in it more. Like, the book's really more like Bremen's story, which is like his father figure and the one who helped forge the sword. But yeah, no, it was honestly still a really good time, and it gave some insight to a lot of things, so that was cool.
Cool. Nice. We are definitely, man, I'm glad you mentioned it, and I wish I had thought of it when we talked about the theme for the year, because speaking of time travel, and I was just talking about a book with time travel, my number 10 is Isaac Asimov, The End of Eternity. This is a great little time travel story. So the interesting thing about this book is this established a lot of the conventional storytelling revolving around time travel that we kind of know today. So like the whole idea that if you do something in the past, it can affect the future kind of thing. Asimov, of course, did it first, you know.
Wow, that's cool.
Is this a perfect book? No, but to me, classic science fiction has this quality about it where when it's done right, it really, like, it surpasses everything for me. And I don't know why that is. Just me specifically. I think it's just the ideas in this. You know, the main character isn't the greatest. It's like fine, you know, kind of a dweeby scientist guy. But the scale of this book is crazy. Just the amount of time that this character, the time scale, like where they go and some of the things that happens. It's really, really fascinating, and it's Isaac Asimov. I don't know. He's one of the the big 3 of science fiction, grandmasters for a reason. So this is another one actually I read on vacation. I really enjoyed it and just kind of plowed through it. It's also kind of a love story, a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Which is very secondary. I think it's more about the ideas, like time travel, like the like the specifics of time travel and that kind of thing. In very, very typical Asimov fashion, there is a twist to it, which is really fun. And I think this is a great book. I really, really enjoyed it, and probably right up there with his other great novels. So, yeah. End of Eternity, another time travel romp.
Okay.
What's your number 9?
It is another Shannara book, actually. It's number 2 of the tetralogy. Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that Terry writes banger number 2s. He seems to really hit his stride in the middle of something. Because he's even said Elfstones of Shannara is like his favorite book, and that was book 2 of his whole library, basically.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, I think, unless the Landover books came out before, I think those came after the first 3. Anyway, yeah, no, one of the things I like the most about it is it feels like it's a very self-contained story in of itself. Like, they're on a quest for a magical artifact that they need to resolve the main plot.
Mm-hmm.
It involves them going into, like, a fossilized city that, like, a fairy creature basically, like, completely encased in stone. and it's heavily hinted that it's actually Seattle, which is
Oh
nuts.
wow, cool.
Yeah, they're like some of the descriptions, some of the fans are like, that sounds like the sports stadium there, which is like where the creature's hiding out. It's basically like kind of get the perspective like of another like benevolent like fairy creature who like sends them on this quest to like defeat the like this guy. I think considers him his like brother or something. But like it's interesting, yeah, because that guy ends up like making like an artificial like magical person who's human in appearance and stuff too, but like it like briefly explores his interaction at like creating like a daughter like figure, and it's just fascinating because you don't ever really get the king of the Silver River's perspective except in this book.
Cool.
It's only for like 1 or 2 chapters, but that was really neat. There's also like a pretty decently written like love story, I thought. There was a lot of neat foreshadowing, a lot of like coming to terms with your fate and just dealing with things. Like one of the main characters is one of my favorite characters in the whole like series as a whole so far. Basically, he's charged with becoming like the next druid, and he just wants nothing to do with it.
Cool.
And he feels like he's being forced. Yeah, but for like honestly understandable reasons, and it's like he's lived kind of like a crappy life, and it's just a lot of things come to a head, and there's a lot of cool imagery, you know, like a post-apocalyptic city that like literally everything's like encased in stone, and it's thousands of years,
cool.
And that's the only reason everything's still standing. Like there's scenes where they're exploring an old subway system, and like all the characters are like, oh, this must be how they got around like hundreds or thousands of years ago, and they're like, they know what the stuff is, but they don't understand how it works.
Cool.
It's just,
it sounds more like a post-apocalyptic thing, almost. You know.
That book specifically really feels like it, and so did like the book 2 of the Voyage of the Ural Shannara because of the rogue AI. Like,
nice,
for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Okay. My number 9 is, I don't have the book on me. It was another audiobook. Fall of Hyperion, the sequel to Hyperion, which you were just talking about. It was really great. I thought, there's a lot of people that don't like that book, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
Boy.
Well, it's way different than Hyperion, but it wraps up, I think, a lot, like pretty much everything from the first book. You see what happens to all the different characters on that original mission. And there's much, much bigger implications for the whole universe. And
yeah, I saw there's 2 more books in that continuity.
Yeah, that goes more into like the war that's happening kind of in the background of Hyperion. Cool. That kind of comes to a head. The scale's big. I thought it was I personally thought it was really well done. I really do. There's some amazing imagery in it. What happens to some of the characters is like, quite frankly, brutal.
Yeah, I mean, the Shrike is like one of the most hardcore things I've ever.
Yeah, the Shrike is one of the most terrifying creatures I think I've ever read in any book. So, it's just I thought it was really well done. There's a lot of crazy like weird AI stuff where you probably remember from the first book where there's the core of the
detective person's story actually really focuses.
Yeah, you literally get a scene where they're like in that. There's a character that like goes in there, and it's really epic. And it was just I thought the sequel really brought it home. I read it at the very beginning of this year, and because I still had Hyperion fresh in my mind, and I thought he really brought it home personally. I know there's detractors and everything, but to me, it was a great book.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So for me, number 9 is Fall of Hyperion.
Cool. Okay, for me, number 8, and we've mentioned him a lot. Salem's Lot by Stephen King.
Very nice.
So quick cliff notes here. I mean, it's a great small town vampire type of story. The town itself feels like a character, from like the buildings to the occupations around town to the people. That tells a little story by itself, but the atmosphere and the tone are great. But I think also one of my favorite things it explored was like the priest character arc. Like that was really cool.
Callahan,
Callahan, yeah, Yeah, no, that made me really want to start the Dark Tower because it's like he has a very interesting arc in that.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
A lot, and I'm sure it's probably even more fascinating the further it goes.
It's one of the best vampire stories I've read. You know.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. That's cool. Cool. I'm pretty sure I lent you that, so it's cool to see it on
did,
your list.
yeah.
Hey, speaking of someone lending someone a Stephen King book, my number 8 is Misery,
Nice.
which you lent me. So that's kind of funny. Both of us are number 8's a Stephen King book.
Yeah, wow, that's kind of wild.
I couldn't put this down. It was so like I don't know why. Like no offense to you or anything, Matt. My expectations weren't like. I was like, okay, it's probably gonna be good, but I didn't expect it to be so good. You know, it just. There's a scene. I'll just say the scene with the axe made me literally go like I was like no like you know I was like what no you know sorry
like yeah, oh my god, yeah, the dragon lady is out of her mind. And if you haven't seen the movie, dude, I of course it's like I'm a book snob, like 9 times out of 10
the book's usually better. Yeah,
the movie was still pretty freaking awesome, and Kathy Bates does a really good job.
Yeah, I think that movie kind of put her on the map. But yeah, this was just a friggin' page turner. It was scary. I feel like you really get into Stephen King's head as an author and a writer. I feel like
it's very meta in a lot.
Yeah, I think it is very very meta. Like he was obviously conveying some frustrations, I think, through this book, as a writer. And yeah, it was great, man. This is already probably, if I don't count The Dark Tower, it's probably the best Stephen King book I've read.
Damn,
I'd even
cool.
I'd put it maybe at least on par with Salem's Lot, if not like a little bit better. So, and I just finished Pet Sematary, so yeah, I can't say enough good about this book. I thought it was phenomenal. So yeah, Misery's my number 8.
Dirty bird, Rob.
Yep, Dirty Bird.
Yeah, it's like I think King is also at his best too when it's not necessarily supernatural horror. That's what makes Misery so friggin'
there's no
terrifying.
Supernatural. It's all psychological horror. Which
it's a person with extreme mental illness and like evil dark urges.
Yep.
Exactly. Okay, so we did 8. Cool. All right. Well, my number 7. That was Divinity's Twilight Remnant, the book that I had showcased earlier. I'll show it again because I really like the cover. Goodbye, other book that fell. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay.
No, this is really neat, and I forgot to show before, but like the boards, besides it being signed, numbered, and personalized, like that's the actual boards. It's just like literally.
I love when books do that. I really do.
But real quick for this one, I could go on a rant. I feel like this guy might end up being super prolific one day. He's like our age right now.
Oh, okay. So new author kind of cool.
Yeah. The world building's amazing, and the magic system feels like something that Robert Jordan or Brandon Sanderson would have come up with. And it's definitely very much like a military novel. There's like three nations. And one's supposed to be kind of like a Roman Empire, like Nazi Germany stand-in, and they launched like an attack that basically like decimated like the main like country that it's following, and there's like a raggedy band of like resistance fighters that are trying to train to like take back their country. And it's interesting. Some of it gives me like very Attack on Titan vibes of how like bleak and depressing it feels at the same time. But one of the coolest things is too, it's like there's a heavy magic system, but there's a lot of mag tech. Like there's like a lot of like ships that are powered by magic. There's like a lot of practical applications for magic.
Cool.
Like in devices and stuff. Just really, really solid like world building and writing. And I like the first book, but the second book's definitely very good. And I'm really looking forward to book 3.
Very nice. Sounds very interesting. I will, since you have it so highly, regarded, I'll have to consider that one at some point.
Yeah, there's literally only 2 books in the series right now, too.
Oh, okay.
So
it's cool to get on board with the series early like that, Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. my number 7 is another horror book. Fun fact, all the horror books I read this year made my top 10.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So, like, I don't know if I just have a thing for horror, I don't like, or I'm just getting more into it, but my number 7 is Cabal by Clive Barker. I don't know if I've talked to you about Clive Barker much, Matt. He, aside from Stephen King, might be the best horror writer, and he writes fantasy as well. He writes dark fantasy. I actually do have one of his fantasy books, which I want to read this year. Which, if it's good, I'll let you know. It's called Imagica. And he's probably most famous for writing The Hellbound Heart, which I also, after I read this, listened to the audiobook of. It's a novella. It's like 100-something pages. And it's, of course, what the movie Hellraiser is based off of.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so he wrote Hellraiser. He actually, I believe he directed the film as well. And then he wrote Cabal. And this is a really weird, dark horror story. It's about this guy who's got some major mental health issues, and he's seeing this psychiatrist, and long story short, he's implicated in some murders.
Dang.
So he goes to seek this place called, oh, what's the name of it? Hold on. Oh, what's the name of it? Midian. He seeks this place called Midian, where all these like weirdo freaks live, so he can feel like he can be somewhere he's accepted. I'll give you a short bit of the twist, but I'm not the whole thing. He's not actually the murderer. That's all I'm gonna say. And this place has these weird creatures, these weird people, and there's like a type of power there, and it gets kind of supernatural and really weird. And yeah, it's a very weird. I don't even know how to really describe this book. It's quite short. It's a page turner, and I just loved it. Atmosphere's great. The characters are really good. It was spooky. It was strange, and yeah, some little psychological horror in there. Cabal by Clive Barker. I can't recommend this guy enough, Matt. He's excellent.
Sounds like you were barking up the right tree.
Yeah, I was biking up the right tree, apparently.
Wow. Okay, cool. Oh, wow, yeah, so we're already on number 6 for me.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, going with the time theme we mentioned earlier, House of Suns by Alistair Reynolds.
Oh, cool. Cool to see that on there, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so my notes here. Massive time scale. Like, literally hundreds of millions of years. Like, I think it's like, what, like 200 million years?
Something like that, yeah.
When they went out into space. Yeah, basically, long story short, it's about a group of people who like lived within our solar system who wanted to experience more of the Milky Way galaxy. So some of them like fractured themselves into 100 different clones and sent the clones out, and like through means of like cold sleep, the clones live like hundreds of millions of years. They see the entire rise and fall of many different humanoid civilizations and come into contact with the machine intelligence. And then there's a big, I mean, it's a lot more complicated than a murder mystery, but would you agree with me when you say it's like a murder mystery?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So it's like a big sci-fi like murder mystery romp, like with like artificial intelligence questions and stuff. And it was just really, really neat. There's definitely some humor. There's a King Crimson joke or two in there.
Yeah, I love that. He's apparently like a big King Crimson fan, which is cool.
Yeah.
There's also a fairy tale story in there. Some AI, you know.
Yeah.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I've read 2 Alistair Reynolds books, and I like that one more. I've read his first book in his Revelation Space series, which is really good. But House of Suns is really fun. He kind of goes all over the place with it.
Yeah.
And like you said, the scale is like astronomical, you know.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, my number. What the hell number are we on? 6.
Yes.
This is gonna be a placeholder for the whole series. It's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Nice.
And yeah, this was my number 2 series. So spoiler alert, I suppose. But I already kind of said that earlier in the video. My number 2 series I read this year. Yeah, I mean Douglas Adams, man, he's great. I mean these books are funny. They're smart.
I really like that edition you have. That looks slick.
Yeah, it's like little pocket editions. I know all the other ones I have are like this too. They're these little cute little hardback pocket editions. They're nice, but almost like a little guidebook, you know, or a hitchhiker's guide. But yeah, it's smart. It's witty. It's funny. It's like Monty Python in space, you know.
Yeah.
If you haven't read, if you haven't read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, what are you doing? You know, some crazy stuff happens. I feel like he was very influenced by Kurt Vonnegut.
Oh, absolutely. Now
I can say that. Yeah, I can really like. I don't know. I really kind of get that vibe from him. But yeah, he I don't know. These were a blast. I flew through them. I read them all. And yeah, fun books.
So it goes, Rob. So it goes.
They're great. And you know what? They're also, if you read a lot of dark shit, you read serious stuff, you read these big chunky books, like a short, like stupid, not stupid because they are smart.
I know.
But you know what I mean? Like a short, like book like that is like fun. You know, it breaks it up a bit.
It's a good palate cleanser.
They're super easy to read.
Cool. All right. Wow. We're at number 5. We're actually making progress, audience.
I know.
Cool. Well, speaking about Dick, Ubik.
I was wondering if that would make yours.
Yeah. Oh my God. I know I was texting you a lot when I was reading this book. All right. I could do a whole 2-hour video just on this book because there is a lot of absurdity, like a lot of absurdist imagery, even the clothes the people wear. But one of the things I love the most about it is that it's like mind melting, like what is going on. Like at almost no point in the story are you as the reader confident about what the actual fuck is happening.
Yeah.
And then the ending was like a rug pull, but like not like a cop-out rug pull, like a rug pull where it's like, oh, of course that's what's going on, because it wouldn't make any sense if it made sense. So here we go. The end is almost like an Ouroboros, like bending you back to like the beginning, but making you see everything that happened in a different light. And there's definitely a lot of humor. There's like a lot of, I feel like there's a lot of like jabs at like capitalism and just like, I mean, Dick couldn't have known about like microtransactions as like a thing in like modern day media. But like, for instance, it's like you have to pay to use the fucking appliances in your own apartment or house in that book. And that was absolutely hilarious to me. There's a scene where he can't leave his house because he doesn't have enough money to bribe the door to open. So like, what is going on?
And the little advertisements, like you know, it's like, oh, you're like, looking for a healthy breakfast? Try like crispy Ubik, you know, and it's all stuff about Ubik. So you don't even really know what Ubik is, you know? It's
not at all. It's very ambiguous, but like in the best way. Like honestly, if there was a book, there's like a few books that I wish I could reread for the first time again. That would be one of them because it was just like a head scratcher, but a good head scratcher.
Do you like it more than Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Oh no, it's not even close.
No, okay, because I do. I actually, you know. My reaction to Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was a little bit lukewarm at first. And I think it was because of the way he writes, and I wasn't used to it. I think that's what it was. Because what I found when I read Ubik, I really loved it. Like, I really appreciated what he was doing. But I had already read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. So maybe it was just with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, it was just a situation where I just wasn't used to his prose at first, and then I ended up loving that book too. But Ubik is just batshit. It's like again psychedelic, like really, and like legit psychedelic. That dude was on a ton of drugs. Like he was that was like the height of his drug use. So
might be biased for Androids as well because I really love both Blade Runner films.
Oh, they're fantastic.
And I know what you mean by the tone because it's like tonally like the way he wrote Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, like it almost like seems like very silly and frivolous, but like the setting and like the descriptions, I feel like it's actually more depressing than the first Blade Runner, which is impressive. The way he writes it at the same time almost doesn't make it feel like that.
Yeah, that's a book I want to reread, as Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, because I think I'll really enjoy it a lot more the second time I go through it. But I'm glad you liked Ubik so much. It was that book's so weird. I'm really looking forward to. Well, I already, I guess, mentioned it, but reading another Philip K. Dick book. So
do a whole series on those called "Dicking Around."
Yeah. Or like Moid Media Death Cult. Shout out to him. Who Dick Bag Bingo. He did a thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, so my number 5, I don't have a copy of. It's The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. That was excellent. That book just had me hooked. I did the audiobook. I highly recommend the audiobook. The author reads it and he does a really good job. Dark,
awesome.
Like creepy, just some of the crazy stuff that happens in it. Like you thought some of those scenes in the movie are like, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like you gotta read the book.
It's cool that you read it for the first time, because audience, I watched it for the first time this year, and like, I was a few drinks in and I was still deeply unsettled, like despite having like a nice buzz going on.
Yep.
I'm like, it's like kind of like you're morbidly fascinated. You can't look away, even though like your skin's crawling.
Yep. Yeah, and I had already seen the movie too, so there was a little imagery, but like for the most part, the book's its own thing. They took a lot from the book, but it's worth a read. There's a detective in it who is like he's a great character. I love him. But the whole book was really, really well written. The story was really compelling. It was dark. Some of the like dark, like demonic stuff was just like really well done. Fantastic horror book. I had to make my top 5. It was one of those books where, you know, by the end of it, I was like, that is one of the best things I've read this year. Like no question, you know. So yeah, The Exorcist.
Very cool. Nice. All right, so that was our number 5s, right? So,
number 4.
Wow. Okay, Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury.
Very nice.
Just every short story was awesome, but I think what I really enjoyed about it too was like there was a lot of horror in that for sure, and a lot of existential dread. But the cool thing to me was the avenue by how the story was being told. For those who are unfamiliar with the novel, it starts with a guy in a town where there's a circus coming through, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a guy called the Illustrated Man. He's a gentleman with a bunch of tattoos on his back and all over his body, and they move around and tell stories, which is kind of spooky and mysterious. And this guy ends up, hanging out with him and watching him, and overnight. And every single short story in the book is like a story being told by like moving tattoos on this guy's body, and like every now and then it'll cut back to like that reality, and I don't know, it's just really spooky. Like I love the way the book wraps up. Even the overarching story is like a horror in like a very meta way, and that was just really unique to me, and I really enjoyed it.
I'm really glad, number 1, that you liked it, because it was also in my top 10 for a while, and then it got bumped. But it was still one of the best things I read. You liking the overall the way the story's told, you now have to read Something Wicked This Way Comes, because it's directly related to that book.
Oh, really?
Yes, directly related to that character with the tattoos.
That's right, there's a circus in that novel, right? Yeah.
It's directly... So I highly recommend reading it. If I see you sooner than later, I will bring you our copy of it so you can read it.
Nice.
But you got to read that, because that's the best Ray Bradbury book that you haven't read yet. So,
nice.
Yeah. So I'm glad you liked it. And all the short stories were great, weren't they? I don't think there was one bad one.
No, not at all.
Okay. My number 4, and again, this is a place. So yeah, we're at 4, right? Yep. My number 4, and this is a placeholder for the series, and it's the Wax and Wayne books. I don't really need to say much. I said a bunch about it earlier in the video. I really loved them. They were fantastic. Yeah, not much else to say. Brandon Sanderson. He's the king of modern fantasy for a reason.
There is one thing I would like to say about that, though. I love the evolution of the technology along with, like,
yes.
romancy to me. That was so cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, number 3. Starship Troopers. You want to live forever? So good. So good.
I'm actually...
I saw the movie, too.
Go ahead with what you're saying.
And the movie is very, very different. It's more tongue-in-cheek and satirical, where, like, I feel like the novel is more, like, straight-laced and serious, but they both kind of tell a different tale at the same time, which is cool. It's like, I didn't realize this until I read the book. Heinlein, I guess, came from, like, a big military family.
Mm-hmm.
I know the book gets a lot of crap because everybody's like, oh, it's, like, super pro, like, military propaganda, and yeah, to an extent, there's some of that. But what I really enjoyed, too, is, like, a lot of the social messaging. And while I might not have agreed with a lot of it, I thought it was interesting how, like, in order to be able to vote and participate in politics, you had to serve in the military, which is actually fascinating because they played that completely straight.
Yeah.
So it's like, and you still have rights as, like, you know, a person who hasn't served. You just can't be a politician. You can't make policy. You can't do that stuff. But you have rights and freedoms if you're not part of the military. And even if I don't necessarily agree with that whole hypothetical setup, I love the discussion that it creates, where I guess a lot of critics just didn't even enjoy it for that. Even just the story itself, like the description of, like, the fights, the battle suits, the aliens, it was just really, really cool.
The one criticism of that book that I don't really get, and I don't understand how people get this out of the book, is it is not a pro-war, or I'd even say really pro-military message in that book. It's certainly not a pro-war book. I don't think it glorifies war in that book by any means. Does it glorify the military a little bit? Maybe, but I think more so than glorifying it, I think it shows the good aspects of it.
Yeah.
And the discipline of being in the military.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it glorifies war. Like, I think, like, I feel like that's kind of become the narrative with that book, and it's like people see that. Did you read the Forever War?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yes.
People will say that the Forever War is sort of like the antithesis of that, which I think I agree to a certain extent that, well, it certainly got like a big anti-war message and shows a lot more of the horrors of war, but I would hardly call Starship Troopers unless I'm reading a different book than everybody else, I would not call it like a pro-war message in that book. Not at all. I think it tries to show the good things. I think it tries to highlight what the military should be, that people should be honorable and duty first, that kind of thing. I don't think that's my opinion. That's all. I don't know. As somebody who is very anti-war and militarization, I did not get that message at all.
Yeah,
so
I see how people can, but yeah, I feel like there's a lot of overreaching for sure.
Yeah,
at the end of the day too, it's like it's a book, like it's not going to kill you, it's not going to hurt you. Even if you don't agree with it, like sometimes that's good too, because it's like then it gives you more to talk about and think about.
Yeah, I agree with you that it had some good there was some good like
philosophy, maybe.
Philosophy, yeah. Well, it was thought-provoking. Yeah, it was good to like stimulate like a discussion. With my issue with that book is I wanted a little more sci-fi in it.
I feel you. Yeah,
there's a lot of scenes of them just like talking a military talk and stuff, and I'm like, where's the aliens?
yeah, I know. Yeah,
I enjoyed it, but I'm glad to hear you enjoyed it so much. I don't think it touches like Stranger in a Strange Land, for example.
No, which is funny because it's kind of like up on my list, much like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep was up on my list. but like at the same time they're not really comparable. It's just this is just relative to everything I read this year, you know.
I'm really glad you enjoyed it though. That's cool to see it that high on your list.
Yeah, yeah, no, it was Heinlein's awesome. I gotta read more of his stuff. I would love.
He's considered like divisive and like controversial, but I think that makes me like him more.
No, that's what I mean. It's
You know?
he clearly just didn't care and he kept going, which is awesome.
All right, well we're in the top 3. Let's see if we can get this top 10. My number 3 I don't have a copy of. It is again appearing for a second time on this list, Mr. Stephen King, and it's It. I finally read this. I really wanted to read this last year. I didn't get a chance to. I finally read it this year. It was a long haul. It's a long ass book. It's his masterpiece. Like as far as I'm concerned, as far as like having read his books. And by the way, when I made my comment about Misery, I probably should have included It, but I wasn't thinking of it. It would be Dark Tower, then It, then Misery for me so far. Yeah, It is like it's. I'm sure a lot of people have seen either the miniseries or the movies. I think the book is cliche is definitely better. He gets way more into detail in terms of like you were talking about Salem's Lot, like the town being like a living, breathing thing. Derry, very much, even more so, is like that because he gets so much. You get history of the town. You get like history of all the characters. The horror in it is really, really good. Like, it's probably his best supernatural horror. Pennywise being just like in some ways, like the ultimate evil monster villain. And the one thing I like about the book that is different from the movies is that you kind of get, rather than, I mean, in the movies they do more than just the clown, but it's largely the clown. Whereas in the book, you get the clown, but you also get sort of like a monster of the week thing. Like, each character has their own fears, so Pennywise manifests as a different monster, You see the Wolfman, you see like evil, like this horrible, like sea creature of the Black Lagoon type of thing. They even mention Rodan, like a flying monster creature and stuff. So he manifests it in like all of these weird, scary ways. And the book also goes back and forth between the kids and the adults. Yeah. So it's not just like the kid's story, then the adult's story. The way he weaves the timelines, going back to the time theme again, I guess, is really, really well done, I think. The characters are all really, really fascinating. He hits on some like hot button, like controversial issues, and he's certainly not like politically correct in his books. And yeah, it's really well written, and it's a huge book, but it's worth it, I think. It's a really, really good story, and I think the book is obviously probably the best medium for the story because it's so huge. And yeah, real spooky. I really enjoyed it, like a lot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Number 2, I guess. Okay. Yeah. My number 2 is Tress of the Emerald Sea.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I really loved it. It's very reminiscent of The Princess Bride, and that was very intentional on Brandon's part. Like Rob said, the narrator is definitely very sarcastic and whimsical. Yeah. So it lends itself very well to this story, which is mostly lighthearted. I mean, there are stakes for sure, but the humor is great. There's an interesting magic system. It takes place on a world where there's a moon that basically leaks spores, and the different colored spores do different stuff when you get them wet with water or any kind of like fluid. From like growing vines to becoming sharp and jagged to even becoming creatures that you can direct by exchanging water for their services.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's a lot of fantastical elements. There's like a quest to save somebody from a witch. It's like Rob said, it's like Sanderson's take on like a new age fairy tale almost, with a lot of classic tropes and traipsings. And I don't know, I really, really enjoyed it, like especially with the small connections to like his overall greater universe. And It was just a delight. I liked all the new characters; they were fantastic. And since most of the story took place on a boat, and I didn't get bored, that says a lot.
I was gonna say it's another pirate adventure. It's actually part pirate adventure, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned the world itself, which I didn't even talk about. Like I love how the sea works with the spores.
Yep.
That's really cool. Very unique world.
That sails on like particles, basically, not on water. Yeah.
I know a lot of people say that with Brandon Sanderson, his magic systems and his characters are a strong suit. His world building actually might be his biggest strong suit. Because he creates such unique worlds. He doesn't like, you know what I mean? Like everything, like down to like little details, like, you know, the ocean itself or the grass or these little creatures like popping up. You know,
I think Robert Jordan was definitely a big influence.
Yeah, Robert Jordan is the only one I could think of. Yeah, that was as detailed, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I would actually say, speaking of prose, that his prose and Tress is some of his best yet.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, the way it's written is, like, it's written for those who are interested. It's like it's written like a narrator telling a fairy tale, which is really cool. Nice. It's a really interesting way to write a book. Very cool. So for the top two, for me, again, you know me, Matt. I love my vintage science fiction. So these two were interchangeable. My number two was my number one for a while, and then I thought about it and then switched. So these two are interchangeable. These were both amazing books to me. My number two is this one. There's a little bookmark in it because Rachel's reading right now. It's a little story called Voyage of the Space Beagle.
Oh, nice. Yes.
By A.E. Van Vogt. This guy is criminally underrated. Apparently, in terms of the golden age of science fiction, in many ways he kickstarted it with not just this, but other books, The World of Null, Slan, a few others. He wrote in Astounding, which was the big science fiction magazine that a lot of, you know, the big writers got their start in. Asimov, Heinlein, like you name it. But A.E. Van Vogt was the first, in some ways, like really big writer. I came onto this book specifically because, long story short, going back to my other theme of my books this year, short stories. This is actually 4 short stories weaved into a narrative.
Oh, neat.
And the way he does it is really good, in my opinion. And they're great stories. But 2 of these stories, they actually ended up having to... Universal, I think, ended up having to pay this guy royalties because the similarities to the first Alien were so stark that they had to pay him because they're like, oh yeah, we didn't credit him or anything. So he's actually credited for Alien for 2 stories.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's one thing. There's a couple things about this book that come out to me. Number one, the individual stories are all fantastic. Number 2, the way it's weaved together is fantastic. I like the writing. The way he writes it is really good. But maybe the biggest thing is that this book is probably written in the 40s.
Wow.
Short stories were probably even earlier than that. Copyright 1939, 43, 1950. So the earliest stories in this were from the late 30s. They are not dated. By any stretch of the imagination. Like, from my perspective, none of them are dated. It's about a ship called the Space Beagle. They go around and get in these weird adventures. There's 2 stories where the ship comes into contact with alien beings, which is really cool and really dark. There's some weird psychedelic shit that happens in the one, and then there's one... What's the last one? I think it's more... about almost like a god. And then there's, of course, politics that go along inside the ship and everything. But anyway, I'm going on about this book. I loved this book. This was my number one for a while. This one really surprised me. And yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it's a very underrated gem. Voyage of the Space Beagle, A.E. Van Vogt. And this guy got attacked a lot by particularly a dude, another sci-fi writer called Damon Knight, saying, oh, he's like, you know, a lot of like, you know, like he was just like, you know, that kind of like typical golden age sci-fi writer, like what he wrote was garbage. And it's like, nah, man, this is really, really good stuff. So yeah, Voyage of the Space Beagle is my number 2.
Very cool. Hey, drum roll.
Number 1, Matt.
Is Children of Time by Adrian.
Ah, yes, of course. Oh, you got the book. You got to hold it up, man. You got to hold up that beautiful...
True, it's still next to me, so fair enough.
Yeah. Children of Time.
Once more.
Adrian Tchaikovsky. Are you going to throw Ruin in with that? Like, as a... Like, would you say Ruin would be, like, with it on your list, or would it be further down?
No, this is my hot take. I don't think it was anywhere near as good.
Okay.
I'll get into that. Like, it was still really good. Like, Children of Time would be, like, an 11 or a 12 out of 10 for me.
Wow.
Children of Ruin would be, like, an 8 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that.
Okay. Yeah, I could go on and on about Children of Time forever, but yeah. Talk about time. Literally... journey across thousands of years with humanity. Earth is a complete bombarded, like, nuclear wasteland. And at the very start of the book, humans are, like, trying to terraform planets, like, in the outer reaches of the solar system. You know, just to colonize worlds is, I guess, just I don't know if Earth was super polluted then and running out of space. It probably was. But basically, there's a big war between, like, religious faction and then the science faction, who just has no disregard for like genetic engineering, and they're doing what they want. And so the main terraformer on the space station we're focusing on wants to bioengineer a group of like apes that's supposed to grow up to be like an adjacent species to humanity. Like, think like Neanderthals versus like Homo sapiens. However, you know, a terrorist sneaks onto the ship, blows the space station up, and they have a virus that's supposed to act as like an uplift thing to like foster, like increase like development, like speed wise. But the monkeys that the virus was supposed to infect burn up in atmosphere, and there is already some Earth life on the planet. So instead, insects evolve, and you follow this spider culture over the course of like thousands of years, and it's like a really awesome hypothetical anthropological like exploration of like what that kind of society would look like using actual like, you know, scientific studies on how these jumping spiders acted. I think they're called Portia spiders.
Portids.
Yeah, portids is what the name of the race is called, and yeah, I think portid is the name of the actual spiders. Yeah, and it takes them from the size they are in real life, and I think they describe most of them, their bodies are the size of our heads, and, you know, their legs would be whatever length it is to that. But yeah, you follow them from basically, like, cavemen to, like, spacefaring, and it's awesome. Yep. Meanwhile, you follow an arc ship of humans trying to reach, you know, a livable planet, and their ship's falling apart, there's anarchy, and you follow the... basically using the word anthropology, there's like a historian / anthropologist on the ship, and every time he wakes up, stuff's gone to hell in an even worse manner than it has before. And he wakes up probably not even 10 times throughout the course of the ship's journey, but it just keeps getting worse and worse to the point where there's like whole generations that have been born and died on the ship because the cold sleep units are failing, and it's just, I don't know, it's just awesome. And the ending was like one of the most Star Trek things I've ever seen. It was just a really good time. It was awesome.
I don't know if you remember this, but so because we're doing this our second video, that was my number 1 book of last year when I read it. So like
so it's very fitting that that's my number 1 this year. Yeah, it is. Yeah, no, it's great, and I can't wait to like sink my teeth into the Shadows of the Apt series.
I'm really glad that you enjoyed that book so much. I thought you would like it. It's a masterpiece of science fiction. Like as we look back on, you know, right now we look back and we think, what are the great science fiction books? Dune, 2001,
like
you know, I, Robot, you know, Hyperion, Ender's Game, you know, like, and you can go way back and, you know, there's tons of stuff, right? And
Yeah,
I
like,
think
like
I
Day
think
of the Triffids.
yeah, all that like really prolific stuff. I think Children of Time, you know, you give it like 20 years is going to be right in that same conversation. I think it's that good. The way, like you said, the way he writes, especially the evolution of the spiders is fascinating. This separate story of the humans trying to like find a new place to live because we fucked the earth, and then the way it all comes together, and like you said, the ending is very Star Trek. I agree. It's phenomenal. I think Children of Ruin had potential. I shouldn't say had potential because it's still a great book, but it had to live up to Children of Time.
Yes,
and I think actually it goes really well for most of the book. To me, it gets lost a little on the ending. That's kind of my only gripe with it. And then Children of Memory, you and I are now reading together now as of the recording of this, so we'll see where that falls. Should be interesting.
No, and the ending didn't so much bother me. Children of Ruin, don't get me wrong, I can totally understand like why you feel the way you do. For me, I mean, you couldn't do the same exact thing that Children of Time
no,
did.
You couldn't. Yeah.
That would feel like a cop out, but like instead it's like you're introduced to two new civilizations. One is another uplifted species, the other one is an actually truly alien organism. And that stuff was really cool. That was the highlight. But like I feel like the octopus civilization, like there was a significant amount of cheating, but mostly because like the human who helped advance their civilization was still alive for a lot of it. So he was directly helping them, and they had human technology to play with to advance as fast as they did. Whereas the spiders were almost completely on their own until they developed like radio waves, and they were communicating with the original terraformer who, spoiler alert, by the way, I mean, we spoiled a lot of different books throughout this, but the original terraformer ends up becoming kind of fused to the AI of the terraforming station, and she's still alive in some capacity, and then she ends up collaborating with the spiders. But at that point, they're probably at like 1916, 1970s level of tech. After, starting from cavemen, where it's like the octopi, they had human technology from their inception to work with. And that's why they felt so technologically advanced compared to the spiders and humans by the time they encounter them in Children of Ruin. What I will say to that, though, is it felt like with the octopus, octopi, their nature was more curious than the spiders. I think that also helped me believe that, they were able to advance a little quicker, Oh, that is true. Which is true about octopus. Is it octopi? Octopuses, whatever, it's true about them in real life, so it's kind of cool. But I agree. It was so glad you enjoyed Children of Time so much, to the point where you got those amazing, beautiful editions that you have. Yep.
So my number one, finally, getting to the end here. We talk about the Grand Masters of science fiction. We talk about the big three. Robert Heinlein, we talked about a little bit. We talked about Asimov. I think Arthur C. Clarke is the grandmaster of science fiction. This story blew my fucking mind. The City in the Stars. It is. I loved this. I did not expect to love this so much. And like with the thing with Arthur C. Clarke too is it's like, all right, I've already read Childhood's End. I've read 2001, I've read Rama. I was like, and Rama's not quite as good as the other two. And I was like, there's no way he's got like another story that's on that level. He does. It's City in the Stars. This book was so good. Like, I loved everything about it. The tone, like you said, there's like a time scale thing. This is way ahead in the future, like 1,000,000 years in the future on Earth. There's two different societies, one of which is like more cultivated by science and engineering. The other more, what do you want to say? More like in tune with nature and
not Amish, but
I'm trying not to give too much away because I want people to read it. And there's other things too. There's like some of the characters go into space. It's the first time humanity's been into space in like millions of years. There's alien. There's like a weird alien creature in it.
Entity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like just some of the like stuff that happens in it, and the tone, the atmosphere. It's got everything, man. This is what I want when I read classic science fiction. This is the pinnacle right here. It's got everything. This book, again, like I said about Voyage of the Space Beagle, it doesn't come off dated. Like, I see a lot of people, especially like really, I don't want to say stupid people, but people who are, let's say, a bit more sensitive about certain issues. I don't mean to say it that way. There's people who are less willing to read an older book, and then they see something that's dated. Sorry?
Is that out of their comfort zone? Is that
They're out of their comfort zone. They're like, oh, this is wrong, whatever, blah, blah. It's like context of the times. This to me is not in any way dated. Like, it is, but it isn't. Like, it is in the sense that it's old, and you could tell it's old, but there's the ideas in it are so interesting and so just like, I don't know. It checks all the boxes for me. I loved it, and yeah, City in the Stars. Arthur C. Clarke. He's got at least 3 masterpieces, and this is one of them. So yeah, was not expecting this to be on number 1, but I'm glad I finally read it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I forget where it was on my list.
It was on your top 10 from what I recently watched the video, but I might have been like 7 or 8 or something like that. I mean, it was.
That's what I thought.
Still made your top 10. I mean, that's like a, to make it to the elusive top 10 of the book.
Yeah, it's
video.
funny how we yinned and yanged with that. Like, I had Children of Time this year, and then you
Yeah.
had that this year. That's
You
cool.
had like Misery, and you read Pirate Latitudes, which I read, both of which I've mentioned, and. Well, I mean, it makes sense we're recommending each other. But Lost Metal was on yours, which the whole series was on mine. So we trade each other books all the time. So unsurprising that there's a lot of crossover, but it makes for good discussion.
It does.
We're gonna wrap this up. There's just a couple of looking into the future, especially since we're talking about a lot of science fiction that I wanted to do, and then we'll end the video. So you don't have to mention this if you don't want to, because you said you don't really do this, but I will. Do you have a goal for the amount of books you want to read next year? Mine's going to be 50. It's been 50 the last couple years, and I was just shy of it. I think I can do it this year.
I took a stab at like putting something together. I said 35 to 40 books, but with a child on the way.
Yeah, Matt's going to be a dad soon, so it might be like 20.
Yeah, first time parent too.
Although, to be fair, the year my first was born, I read 52 books. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
But I read a lot at work, and, there's, like, I think I told you, if there's long nights where you need to be there to, get the kid to sleep, you can always be reading a book.
That is true. That is true.
Okay, and then there's only 2 more questions here. What number 1, what's your most anticipated book for the new year? I think we both have the same one. Yeah.
Stormlight 5, Wind and Truth.
Yeah, Wind and Truth, the 5th Stormlight Archive book. So, yeah. Looking forward to that. I know you are. That'll be a fun one we can talk about when that comes out. And then I guess the last one I have here is are there any series that you want to tackle next year?
Yes. I don't know if I'll start it this year or if it might bleed over into next, but it would be cool to start the Shadows of the Apt series. I will have 3 books soon because I'm getting a bunch of special editions from the same site that did Night Angel 4 and Children of Time series, and I think it's like every 3 months they're putting out like each subsequent book in the series. So in March they're putting out book 4. So by the end of the year they'd probably have 6 or 7 books out, and it's a 10-book series. So I might not start reading them until I have them all, and that would be like September of 2025 or something.
Yeah,
Like, that's
for those who don't know, Shadows of the Apt is Adrian Tchaikovsky, who we were just talking about, Children of Time. That's his fantasy series that he wrote. I think even like he wrote a lot of those before he was even like really famous. It's a 10-book series. Matt and I are planning to tackle it together, probably within a year and a half, something like that. So, cool.
Yeah.
So Shadows of the Apt. Anything else?
Yes, the Final Architecture trilogy from him, which is supposed to be like space opera, like, yeah, and like, well, actually, I don't think it was post-apocalyptic Earth. I think in that, like, Earth got blown up or something.
We should do that one together this year. Maybe we should definitely do that one this year and then do Shadows of the Apt next year.
That sounds good. I also want to eventually check out the Powder Mage trilogy. The Broken Binding, as part of their subscription service, did that, and I'm hoping that whenever the time is right, they had leftover unsold copies that are available to people who aren't in the subscription service yet. Because like the waiting list is long as hell to like join it. But the books look beautiful, and I've heard good things. The author was actually a student of Sanderson's too. His name's Brian McClellan.
Oh, cool.
And I've heard books are supposed to be really good. And then, besides that, I want to read all those Robert Sawyer books I got, which include Flash Forward, Illegal Alien, Starplex, and Quantum Night.
Yeah, we're going to read Flash Forward together, which will be fun.
Yes.
If there's enough interest in it, like if people comment or whatever, I'd be into doing like an occasional read-along in our little other media tab in the Discord. So if there is interest in that, comment below.
Be very cool, especially for our Canadian brethren, because Robert Sawyer, that'd be really
yeah, he's phenomenal. I'll look forward to reading Flash Forward with you. Maybe we could do that after we're done Children of Memory.
For anybody watching this who didn't watch last year's list, Robert Sawyer book was my #1 last year.
Calculating God. Yep. Great book.
Fantastic.
Great book.
One of the only sci-fi books that actually made me cry.
I think I cried or at least teared up for that because that ending, man. Whew,
Yeah.
For me, for series, I wrote down just a few. I told you I think I only have one large fantasy series a year in me, and that this year it's going to be a Stormlight. It's going to be a Stormlight Archive. It's going to be a Stormlight Archive read along. I had to pull it out because I didn't lug this big bastard downstairs for no reason. But this is the first book, The Way of Kings. Read it. It's fantastic. It's Brandon Sanderson's, it's his big masterpiece of series. 5th book of this is coming out, and I've only read the first 4 books once, which was 2 years ago, and I need a refresher because there's a lot that happens in these books. So I'll be reading those probably the latter part of the year, leading up to the release of Wind and Truth, which is what, November?
December. It's December.
December?
5th
Okay, so there's a lot of time, and but these are big chunkers, and so it's gonna be a long one. So definitely Stormlight. That's gonna be my big reread, big read. Even though I mentioned it, I'm just going to put it up here. We're reading Children of Memory, so I'm excited about that. Like I said, about 100 pages through, so that'll be great to finally read that whole trilogy. I just have it here. This is probably going to be my next, book I read, just paper book. I didn't read a Philip K. Dick book last year, and I really wanted to, so Philip K. Dick. And then, what else? I actually have them. I forgot to bring them down. I'm thinking about a couple of trilogies. Number 1, that Tchaikovsky one that you just mentioned.
Architecture, nice.
Yeah. Another one is the Thrawn trilogy, which is the Star Wars trilogy written by Timothy Zahn. That's supposed to be really, really good. So I'm thinking about doing that.
I read one of the High Republic books in the new canon. It was pretty decent. I already forget the name of it, but I think that was last year or the year before I read it.
I think the Thrawn trilogy is considered legacy at this point, right? So
yeah, but who cares if it's
I don't care.
Writing, it's your own headcanon.
It's at least going to be better than the sequel movies. And then so there's a couple trilogies, and oh yeah, and another small trilogy you guys might have heard of called Lord of the Rings. I wanted to show. Oh, I finally want to read this year. This year, I think. I've also got this lovely edition of The Hobbit, which I will probably read as well. But look at these things. Like I found this I got these for less than $5 at a book sale when I lived in Ithaca, and they're all it's all vintage Lord of the Rings.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I want to finally read these guys because obviously I know Lord of the Rings really well. I've watched the movies. I even listened to that BBC there's like a BBC production that was done in the 80s that I listened to. But I've never read the books, so I got to read Tolkien. Like, bad me, you know? It's like a big hole. And then the last one is, we talked about this series. This is actually going to be my next audiobook. I just finished mine today, and it's I'm going to read Endymion, which is the first of the second duology in the Hyperion Cantos. So I'm going to listen to those two books next, which I'm really excited about, because Dan Simmons is a genius, and I really enjoyed the first two Hyperion books. So I'll round that off, and then I'll be done with that series. So that's just some of the stuff I'm hoping to read, plus many, many, hopefully, standalone novels.
Cool.
Oh, and those Secret Project books.
Yes.
So, lots to read.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I my to be read pile is pretty big right now. Let's see. Just from here, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
10. Yeah. 11, 12. Yeah, counting all the books I have coming too, I think I'm going to have like 20 something just from that.
Well, there's your reading for the year. You know?
Yeah. Easily.
Plus Stormlight, right? That's going to be, I mean, that's right there going to be a, probably most of your December. So.
Yeah.
Alrighty, well, I think that's it, unless you have anything else you want to add.
I think I'm good. We this video is like the length of like Flowers of the Killer Moon or whatever that new Scorsese movie was. I swear to God, I think this.
Why watch that when you can watch this book video? You know, so.
Yep.
Or you could listen to it. You know, I mean, I listened to our first one at work. So anyway, this was a long, epic video. I really enjoyed it, Matt. I've been looking forward to this, like, honestly, since we did the last one. So I love books. I don't want to oversaturate my channel with book videos, even though I could probably do them. But I think doing like a big roundup at the end of the year or in the new year is a really fun way to just facilitate discussion about all the books that we read, and it gives you a chance to reflect on everything and just kind of think about those books. And I don't know, it's fun reading. It's really become a big passion, and I'm privileged that we can share that together. It's been awesome. So
yeah, no, it's a blast. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. And hopefully, if anybody's reading or not reading, if anybody's watching this, hopefully you're reading instead of watching this. And maybe we'll introduce people to some books. You never know. Hopefully, we've talked about some stuff that piqued people's interest. So yeah. So what were your top 10 books of the year? Leave a comment below. Well, yeah.
We want to know. We want to know.
We do want to know. Post in the Discord if you're interested in like a potential read along. Let me know. And yeah, I think that's it. This ending's a train wreck. Take us out with something, Matt.
I got nothing. I got brainworms.
Be kind to spiders. Whatever you do, don't never kill a spider.
Yep, never eat calamari again. Either.
Yeah, or calamari. Alrighty, everybody. Until next time, peace.
Yep. See you in 2024.
We'll be back in a year to talk about more books.
Yeah, or I guess the beginning of 2025, maybe. Probably.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Bye, everybody.